Okay.
So we can just talk.
Yeah. Hi. It's the Cyber Zone.
That's true. That is the cyber zone. That's actually what we're doing right now. Is
That's us.
yeah, that's you and me at the same time as each other.
Yeah. In a different space, but together as people.
Right? Yeah, we coexist.
Yeah.
We're different religions and different races,
Yeah.
but we're friends, so it's okay.
Right. It's like that TV show.
Yeah, the Patty Duke show,
Right.
where Kathy is an Islamic Jewish nationalist, and Patty is like a super conservative atheist um
Oil tycoon.
oil, oil tycoon.
See, the oil brings them together.
No, that's their common bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patty likes to rock and roll. Kathy's been to Zanzibar. They both have a love for oil. That was when the Nick at Night executive, or like old Nickelodeon exec, like was pitching it. He was like, what would two suburban girls like really be into?
Yep.
Oil.
Yeah.
How do
Girls love oil.
girls love black gold?
Texas tea.
Oh, good. It's been too long since
It's been a really long time. We're back.
yeah, a dinosaur's tale.
Oh, I don't like it.
No.
I don't like, you know what? I don't think I like almost any movie about dinosaurs.
Did you like Jurassic Park?
The first one.
Yeah. The other ones are all not very good.
Yeah.
Remember when we saw the new one?
Ugh.
It was not very good.
No, it was not. We had
Okay.
a long discussion about. Anyways, sorry.
Dinotasia?
I don't even know what that is. It's like Fantasia with. There's Dinotopia.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Doesn't Dinotasia like no? Dinotopia is like the book series, right?
I think so.
What was the one with Austin O'Brien, the kid from Last Action Hero?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not on the Austin O'Brien Usenet group. I don't really get to.
You canceled your membership?
Yeah.
Hold on.
There's Disney's Dinosaur.
I kind of remember there was a sassy dinosaur in that one.
There's Theodore Rex.
Austin O'Brien. Okay, let me see. Hold on. My Girl 2, Bounty, Runaways, Promised Land, Prehysteria. I'm sorry.
That doesn't sound familiar at all.
The kid who has like 4 little baby dinosaurs that hatch out of eggs.
Okay, that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some crappy early 90s movie.
I looked at Yakov Smirnoff's IMDb page today.
You went to his, and did you find anything good?
I found that he's on like a web series now, but prior to that, the last thing he did was like a recurring appearance on Major Dad. He just did not do anything for 20 years.
I didn't know he was even around for a very long time.
What the country?
The Yakov. Okay, so now that we're live and on the air and we have video feed, I have a very important question. I guess only you can answer because I don't have like the chat thing turned on. So
yep, it's up to me. You guys can scream all you want.
I have Chips Ahoy, or I have chocolate chip.
Okay. I only really require one thing from a cookie.
Yeah.
And that's how chewy it is. So which one of those do you think is going to be a chewier cookie?
I feel that Chips Ahoy will be chewier. These I think are made to be like, the more bite-sized cookies. These are smaller.
Okay, then yeah, go with the Chips Ahoy.
Okay.
I love a chewy cookie, man.
A chewy cookie is good. These will probably still be fairly crunchy because, that's how it goes. But
if you had gotten chewy Chips Ahoy, I wouldn't need to look at the second bag.
No question. Yeah, the other bag's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Okay, so we're the Cyber Zone. We talk about video games.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question right now pertinent to what you're doing right now. Has there ever been like a video game food that you just wanted to eat?
Oh God, yes. Oh man, yeah. there's been a lot of them. I'm trying to remember all of them because I know there's been a ton that just looked super good. You know,
Yeah.
anytime there's like a big like chunk of meat, like in Joe and Mac or Bonk or something, like it just looked so tasty.
Like just like a whole ham on the
Yeah,
bone.
exactly. The bone sticking out, and you just slurp it off in one, one chew. Um, Castlevania hams in the wall,
Hmm.
or turkey legs, or whatever they're called, meat strips. Um, but in Dead Island, there's only like three foods. There's like energy drinks, apples, and like I think granola bars or something. I don't know. Um, and for some reason, like if you got bit, eating an apple would heal you. But there was something about like the sound effect that it made whenever you would eat these things that made them sound really good.
Yeah.
The apple sounded like an apple. The granola bar had like a really nice crunch, and the energy drink sounded like you could like hear like the fizz just going down your throat, and it sounded really like ASMR or whatever. Like I was super into the noises from those foods. What about you?
Recently, Final Fantasy 15 is gonna kill me because every
Oh
night that you go cook, you just make this delicious looking item.
yeah, still here's eggs on top of chicken strips.
Like, why can't my Xbox One also double as a food printer so
That's
I
the
can
next
eat those
step.
things? I would pay upwards of $1,000 for a copy of Final Fantasy 15 where I could eat the food that I
Yeah,
make.
and so it's like a 3D printer that makes actual processed food, adds in all the
Hmm.
right flavors.
Yep.
I don't see why games don't end up going that direction. They can emit a smell, um, you know, something that really like complements the atmosphere. Like if it's musty when you're walking around Gotham streets, or if it smells like you're in a delicious or Asian cafe when you're playing Yakuza.
Did This is something that I used to do as a kid. A couple of things. One, F-Zero is lamentably just a one-player game.
Yes.
But there were a couple racing games around the same time. What me and my friends would do is we'd have like a swivel chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one person would be playing the game, and the other person would be in charge of like giving them force feedback in the chair based on how they were doing.
Mm.
So like you'd turn them, you might like tip them back if they hit a jump. If they crash into a wall, you'd shake them.
It's like the activator.
Yeah. Another thing I used to do is I used to play video games with like a 4-speed fan next to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I would adjust the speed of the fan based on how like windy I thought the area that I was in
That's kind of a
was.
fun idea. It's like you made your own fourth dimension experience.
Yeah. Like they're not going to make these things for me,
No,
so I'm just going to simulate the experience myself.
Kojima would do that. Like he would ship his next game with one of those little hats that has like a fan on the front.
Yeah.
So if you're playing F-Zero, like F-Zero's like dark side stories or whatever from Kojima, then you could experience Captain Falcon like walking through Deathwind before he like shoots Pico in the face,
Yep.
and the wind is just blowing in your eyes.
It's hard to see, but you can see Pico very clearly.
What if the hat? Okay, like at the very top, it had like a little dispenser you could put stuff into to complement like. So, like it could make smell crystals. So you could you walk into this building, put it in capsule 2A, and you put those in there, and I smell delicious curry. It's like blows curry scent into your face. Or you could pour like sand in it, so when you're walking through death, when it just blows sand, it just blinds you.
Yeah. You have to sign a waiver before you purchase the game.
Yeah, exactly. You won't sue for getting your eyes destroyed. I think that's a good idea.
I'd play it.
I'm gonna play it tonight after the podcast.
They could have done that with like the Virtual Boy, just put like little sand dispensers on the side.
Exclusively into your eyeball.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere else.
What if they had like a little same kind of thing, wind tufts? So you would like at the ocular doctor, optometrist,
Yes.
right? And it would actually like blow into your eyeballs. Like if the tennis ball in Mario Tennis was flying by your face, you'd feel like the whiff of air blow into your eye.
Yeah.
I think that's important to get that kind of feedback because feeling a tennis ball go by you doesn't feel like anything, but feeling like the wind of the tennis ball pass by your eyes is a much more immersive experience.
Right. They missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, that's why the Virtual Boy tanked. So I wasn't truly immersed.
Yeah. people were like, well, I guess it's kind of, like it looks sort of 3D-ish, but if I could have substances blown into my eyeballs.
Yeah, like leaves, like
I'm
crushed
trying
leaves.
to like picture like what the other Virtual Boy games would do, and my first thought was honestly like Red Alarm,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, yeah, when you blow up a ship, like these red sticks will just shoot out and get stuck in your eyeball.
Yeah, like little toothpicks or whatever.
Yeah,
Scrap
just sawdust.
water world. It could be like ammonia-esque kind of water.
Hmm.
Blow right iodine. They could just put iodine in there. Just blow iodine all over your face. Okay. That's because I'm thinking like uh
This only took like 10 minutes.
yeah,
It's
that's
quick.
pretty good this time. Oh, I was thinking Dennis Hopper. Because well, Kevin Costner pees into the water in the machine, and then he turns it into like water, right?
Yep.
Because water is a commodity, like pure water, I guess, right?
Which doesn't make sense because if you can just pee into a machine and get water,
Yeah.
everyone's still going to be peeing.
Yeah. No, you can just get ocean water and purify it, and it's probably way better right off the bat.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was an expensive movie. Okay. So, the Virtual Boy. That's okay. I guess I saw something today that said, "Hey, happy 20th anniversary week to the Virtual Boy." But I remember like a month ago wishing the Virtual Boy happy birthday. So I guess it was the Japanese and American launches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't really research. I'm a bad video game.
Dad.
Like I'm a bad dad. Bad video game dad.
Yeah.
My sons don't like video games. Bro, I'm still eating cookie.
Yeah.
Did you answer what your favorite video game food was?
A little bit. I talked about Final Fantasy 15.
Oh,
Here's
right.
the thing. Like, for me, it's really strange
Yeah.
because I think most people like in video games, like fruit is represented so perfectly,
Like
right?
Adventure Island.
Adventure Island or Pac-Man or it's like they don't just have like a shitty apple. It's like a beautiful glossy red apple that's like full and it's got like nice shape to it. But none of that is appealing to me. Like when I think of like food that I do find appealing in those kinds of games, like the pretzel in Pac-Man is the most appetizing looking food to me there. The fries in Bubble Bobble, that's what I want. I want the fries.
I'm trying to think. There's a game like a big chocolate bar, and I'm trying to think of like your character, chomping the chocolate bar. And I'm trying to think of like what game that would have been now.
There's a couple games with chocolate bars in them, like, and it's
Yeah.
usually like half unwrapped,
Yeah,
so you
there's,
can
like, a big
tell.
bite sticking out of it or something.
Yeah,
Dang it! Now I'm trying to think of what game had the chocolate bar that I was into. I don't know. I can't think of it.
there's something very like compulsive when playing Shenmue, where there's absolutely no benefit to buying a soda, right, or a coffee. It doesn't give you a stat boost. It's not like a meter that you have to replenish, and you only get so much money. But you'd walk by the machine and you'd be like, "Well, I should buy a soda."
Yeah. It's because he drinks it in 2 gulps. Like you can feel the burn.
Yeah.
He crushes it and puts it in the disposal. And that's cool.
Yep.
Makes you feel like you're drinking a soda in the 80s.
Yeah.
Um,
Coke.
I did just think of something with food that I really wanted to mention, and then I forgot it again immediately because Shenmue sounded really appealing. Yakuza had really. Oh no, I know what it was, and this actually influenced me tremendously. But when I used to play like a lot of Dead Rising when the first one came out, you would like walk into like a kitchen or whatever, and Frank West would like grab like a full size like pizza, and just like and then just eat the whole thing immediately. And it made me want full size pizza, so I went out and started buying like those Totino's party pizzas. And I would eat like a whole pizza at a time, like not like like piece by piece, but like just in one sitting, just sit there and eat like a whole Totino's pizza while playing Dead Rising, and it felt like I was Frank West.
You like a thing of orange juice and you're good.
Yeah, it just goes, or a milk or a coffee or whatever. Dead Rising food, I think, always looked really good.
Yeah.
That made me feel happy.
Phil happy.
Phil Hartman. He's not happy anymore.
He might be really happy. I don't know.
That's true. I can't judge. I can't judge him anymore. I
Nope.
stopped judging him. Okay. So, with the new Cyber Zone, it's not that new, but we're going to incorporate some new features.
Yeah.
A couple things we want to mention is that our really good buddies, and we'll talk about them again at the end of the podcast, over at AMcast, have moved every episode of our Cyber Zone podcast to, I believe, iTunes.
It's on iTunes. You can also download it at the Amcast Podcast Syndicate website, which is www.screwthetruth.com.
Yes.
So all the classics are there.
Mm-hmm. We can listen to every episode. You can't watch me laugh if you're listening. You can listen to me laugh. I do that a lot. I break down a lot, and it's fun.
Yeah.
X mode, man. There's a couple classics that just really got me. Anyway, so there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. We've missed a lot of things in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
The passing of Iwata. Michael Graham and I sort of discussed that a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty monumental time.
It was, yeah. It was kind of just weird how. I think it's just it's the kind of person that he was, because there are a lot of people that in that same sort of, not really in your sphere.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's the person that was in these movies died. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But it was very much like Robin Williams, which was a year ago yesterday, where it's like, I don't know this person, but like the way that they acted, the way that they behaved, the way that they carried themselves and lived their lives, it resonates with me a lot more deeply that they're gone. So
right. Yeah, very unique passing. Very unique man.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a unique CEO. So there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not Miyamoto would step up to the plate. And I don't feel that that's his role. I don't feel like he needs in that position. But Genyo Takeda, I believe, is who they had cited as sort of moving up. And as a face, I don't know much about him, but it sounds like he still also has like a really rich history with the company in terms of like designing.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool approach to continue that legacy of it's not just a public figure. It's somebody who's worked with the company for so long and knows the inner workings from the design standpoint as well as, economical standpoint.
Yeah. And also it seems like a good pick if that's the case, because he seems to be very forward thinking when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
And kind of like taking risks as opposed to playing it safe.
Right. Which I think Nintendo's really going to need to do at this point. So that'll be good. Be super good. Okay. So, hot off the press, new Silent Hill announced.
Yeah.
Are you excited for this one?
I'm a Silent Hill fan. Yeah. I think I stuck with the series a lot longer than some of the purists.
Mm-hmm.
Really up to Shattered Memories. Downpour was a letdown, but I think there's some redeemable qualities to Shattered Memories. Am I excited for this one? Long answer, no.
Why not?
Because it's a pachinko machine.
Oh. So what you're telling me is they canceled PT, but they're still keeping the Silent Hill name alive with the pachinko machine.
Right, yeah. Because, Konami is very much about gambling.
Right.
It's kind of the direction they're steering the company, and they want to bring what only Konami could to the gambling space, which is licensed Silent Hill gambling.
Yeah, Pyramid Head pachinko balls.
Now, like, if like you say you lined up like 3 pyramid heads or whatever, because I know they have like pachi slots, which are like a combination of pachinko and slot machines, where if you land balls in certain areas, it activates the slot machine feature, and that's kind of what's really big right now, and why companies like Konami are getting involved, because it's sort of a legal way for them to get their foot in the door with gambling, while Japan wrestles with whether or not that's something they want to actually do. I would appreciate a Silent Hill pachinko game where it's say like you land the ball in the spot, the slot machine activates, the reels stop, and you get like 3 pyramid heads, and instead of like pachinko balls or tokens, like just wasps started flying out of the machine. Like the siren goes off, and it's just like flies just pouring out of the machine. Like, all right, I'm into that.
Okay, so now if they wanted to do that, do you think there should be some sort of mechanic where when you sit down at the seat to play your pachinko,
Yeah.
it covers you in like a very specific smelling like spray. Like it had like a certain pheromone. So that way if somebody next to you is playing and the wasps came out, they'd be safe, but the wasps would come after you because you have the specific pheromone.
Right.
That way it makes it a more personal experience rather than having to disrupt somebody else's.
Yeah, they can still enjoy their game. And people might say like, well, then why would you play a game where you could potentially be attacked by wasps? And my answer is this: it's gambling. If you just gave really good odds on the machine, like you're gonna win a lot of money, and you might get attacked by wasps.
Right.
People would still play. Right. I like the idea because I know that Konami also has a similar machine that's been out for a year or two now that's Contra themed. And I just like the idea of like face huggers or like spread shots coming out of the machine and just hitting you in the face.
Right, yeah. So are the weapon power-ups, how do they work? Are they like big metal like discs with data that you stuff into your gun and then suddenly like it uploads like spread bullets?
It's possible because Contra does take place in the future, like in the distant future. I'm gonna say that it's like Bill Reiser's gun. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very basic. It's just like a long rifle, and by default it can shoot its normal bullets.
Mm-hmm.
But it has like a magazine attachment that's also eagle shaped, I guess. And like so you just like you just slap that in and it's okay, well now it's gonna transfer fire up through the chamber.
Okay.
And blow fire out.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I can see that. So they were also forward thinking, whoever designed their guns.
Yeah, very, very.
Maybe Nintendo designed their guns.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to happen? I don't know how I feel about this anymore.
I don't know if you've been watching these videos that have been coming up recently, but there's been a bunch of little like weird blurps that people have been making of like a mock Nintendo world with like the Unreal 4 engine.
Yes, yeah.
Characters running around, Donkey Kong in a grassy field, or Mario jumping through like balls in water and stuff. It's really strange, but
I really liked them until I saw the Kirby one, and then I was very disturbed.
I don't think I actually saw that. I think I saw comments saying something similar, but what was the Kirby one like?
It's just like it's very much like the Mario one, where it's just like Kirby out in the grass, or like the Sonic one, where he's just sort of walking around, and then he opens his mouth and like stretches out, and it's just, yeah. It like hit that uncanny valley thing where I was just like, I don't want to. That's not how I want. I don't want Kirby and the Unreal 4. Like you don't need that level of realism.
Don't want to participate in that. Dang. Okay.
He's a circle with feet.
That's true. Yeah, he's supposed to be sweet and innocent, made of candy, from the cosmos.
Yep.
Okay. Good. I liked watching Donkey Kong run around just like a big grassy field. Because it reminds me of something. I think I might have brought this up before, but there was a very long time ago, 2002, 2003, and I was talking to my buddy Dave, and he was over on like the Game FAQs like message boards, like looking at stuff. And I actually don't know which specific board he was on, whether it was Donkey Kong Country or Morrowind, but someone suggested that they wanted a new Donkey Kong Country game in 3D that played like Morrowind. It was just Donkey Kong being able to walk around in first person and look at bananas and accept quests and change armor. Pick up too many bananas, become over encumbered.
Wow.
Yeah, this is somebody's suggestion, and it's something that I definitely laugh at. But like if it came out, I'd absolutely play the poop out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm signed up for that 100%. But as a concept, beta? Yeah, I'm already signed up. I pre-ordered. I got the GameStop exclusive, the horse carriage.
Looks like when he rides into the town during a
Yeah.
stormy before K. Rool takes the bananas.
Yep.
So it's like a reboot of the series.
It's not a reboot. No, it's like you know how Donkey Kong is to Cranky Kong as Donkey Kong Jr. is to Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Right. So it's that. This is Donkey Kong's son,
Okay. Okay.
Donkey Kong
Actual
the third.
Donkey Kong 3, Stanley the Bugman.
Yeah, it's Stanley the Bugman, and he's been he's become a Donkey Kong.
He
He's
evolved when
eaten,
he was born, and now he has to kill his father.
yeah, he ate too many bananas, and now he is Donkey Kong.
Okay. Okay. They need to fix all that because in the instruction manual, I don't think it mentions that. I think they forgot when they
Yeah.
translated it.
Well, it was rush job. So
It was they just pumping them out.
I always thought it was stupid when villains did like the thing that wound up undoing them in the beginning of the game. I'm thinking of things like hi Trent. I'm thinking of things like Congo's Caper, where there's like a wizard or something, and he turns the main protagonist into a monkey, and then you use monkey abilities to, or like Bubble Bobble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why make these boys who their only power is boy
Yes,
powers?
and dirt and like snails or whatever.
Yeah, and like, oh well, let's just make them into dragons that can blow bubbles that can
Yeah.
capture all of our henchmen.
Yeah, let's turn them into something more capable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because if I were like gonna go kidnap a woman, I would be like, "Oh, you're just like an 8-year-old kid. Well, good luck." You
yeah,
know?
break his leg or something. Like,
Exactly. Just kick him over.
don't drop a magic wand and be like, haha, I took your mom and I gave you this.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a sorcerer killing sword. Good luck, idiot.
Maybe it's just hubris, right? I dare
Yeah.
you.
So, um, I
What
know
have
we
you
had
been
discussed
playing?
like what have I been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing?
Not a lot recently. I finished Arkham Knight about a month ago,
Mhm.
and I absolutely ate that game up. I didn't have like a lot of time to play, but I found a way to make time. And it's interesting because I actually am still sort of working off and on an article, and I'll go into it a little bit right here about the fact that my Batman knowledge is very limited. Okay,
Yeah.
I've watched the animated series a good chunk. I've seen movies, and I know through proximity of friends a lot of the villains and some of the overarching story. So I would say I'm not like a Batman fan, but I enjoy Batman.
Sure.
And so the perspective that I like for something like this is what do I take away from a game of this caliber without being like really involved in what Batman is? And so I can't tell if the story's messed up or not. What they did with the characters, if they did it correctly, if it's incorrect, if they're really veering in their own direction, which I personally think that is probably a better way to go. So you're not too shoehorned into an existing universe and story. But I don't know. I don't know enough about that. But I really enjoyed the game as a whole.
Well, here's I think how you have to compare that. Like, let's say that Rocksteady made an Alf game.
Oh my god, yes. An open world, you can like combo system.
Yeah, but then like if they deviated from what made Alf, like if he was just like a dick to Willie,
Right.
like how would you feel about that? Would you be
So
upset?
the comparison is like Alf is always going to be a dick to Will. If they stop making him be a dick, that would take away from Alf's characteristic. But if like they were expanding upon the universe of Alf story wise, that was like we're not trying to recreate this one episode, but we're trying to, here's a new episode of Alf that you get to play basically.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm
The,
not
ga-
sure
the game the game has a playtime of 22 minutes.
22 minutes, well, per episode, and there's it mirrors the entire show, so you actually get 102 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So the game is very long.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe some of the missions are you getting like to recreate the experiences, walking through the Tanner household and like spilling popcorn. And Willie yells at you, and you just sort of shrug it off or whatever. Like, I think that's acceptable. I would be okay with that as long as they don't like change the fundamental of who the characters are, without like giving a good reason, like, because say after the show. Well, after the show's hard because the show does end with Alf basically getting kidnapped by the alien task force.
Yeah.
So, like, if they were to say there's an episode between the second to last and the actual last episode, and this is where like the game takes place, and there's an evolution of Alf's character where he's maybe has a different kind of snark, or he does something different within the world of Los Angeles that he's stuck in. I'd be more willing to accept it, depending on where they decided to take it. Or if they just said this is our fantasy Alf story, I might say okay. Well, no, I don't know. I don't think I would like that.
So there you go. I think that's the parallel you have to draw, is that if they take too many liberties, then it's foreign to what you, for the reasons that you love the subject material.
Sure.
Like if Batman just like walked around like making quips like Spider-Man all the time, like people would probably be like, I don't like this.
Sure. Yeah, that would make sense. And as far as I can tell, like it felt like it was in line with Arkham Asylum and Arkham City really, really smoothly. So as far as I can tell, it didn't skip a beat that I'm aware of. To a Batman fan, maybe it does something really deviant and awful. But from my perspective of, are these games fun and can I play them in a continuous order and feel that it works? Yes. That's exactly what I got.
What's your favorite Batman game all time?
Return of the Joker on the NES.
It's a good game. There are a lot of great Batman games and a lot of really like, there's no middle ground. They're either like must plays, like true classics for their respective systems, or complete trash.
Yeah, Batman is very polarizing. And luckily he's had, I think, more good games than most other superheroes.
Oh yeah, by far. Because Batman, for the two NES games, both great. Batman, Return of the Joker.
And Batman Returns.
Oh, there was a Batman Returns for Nintendo. That's right.
It was, the Konami one. And that came out just a beat 'em up, but it's a good beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo, not really a good time for Batman, although The Adventures of Batman and Robin is fantastic. On every single system it was on. The SNES, Genesis, and Sega CD. It's so good.
Absolutely stood out on all levels, and that was only to counter Batman and Robin.
Yeah, and Batman Forever.
Batman Forever, I'm sorry.
Oh, that game. That game has load times.
Yeah. Hey, you bought a cartridge. You like loading? You better.
You want to load these Mortal Kombat 2 palette swaps? Hang on a minute.
To anybody who has not played this game, oh man, I mean, you're lucky. I don't. We don't really trash games too heavily on here. Sometimes we talk about stuff we don't like and we make mention of it, but like
I've given it a fair shake. Like I've played my way through more than half the game.
Yeah.
And there's just like there's the controls are terrible, and there's limited continues, and there's pits to fall in everywhere that make you instantly lose a life.
Right.
It's repetitive.
Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Zero mission.
Yeah.
Essentially what it is. Like it's literally high punch, low punch, high kicks, and low kicks. Plays like Mortal Kombat, like fighting game, platformer engine. You have to do absurd button combinations, despite the fact that you have an L and R, select, start, all this kind of stuff. It's like up and select uses your utility belt to like grapple or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Very oddly put together game.
And I love games with complex controls, and we'll get into more of that later because there's something I definitely want to talk to you about tonight.
Okay.
But I love complex controls because typically the more options you have from a control perspective, the better you can become at a game. You can integrate more and more tactics and abilities and have a cleaner, more capable run once you get the hang of everything that you're doing. Sure. But there is a breaking point to this. And the example I usually cite is Wing Commander for the Super Nintendo. Wing Commander is a great game. I grew up playing Wing Commander, and it did things cinematically in games that just weren't being done at the time. It has moments that attack your emotions. It has like good fast-paced action, but it was a PC game at heart. It was a PC flight simulator, so it used every friggin' key on the keyboard. So then they ported it to Super Nintendo, and the instructions just for like what buttons do what are like 4 pages long.
Dang.
And it's like, okay, Y to shoot, A to use your thrusters, and then like L, up, X, and select to eject.
Jeez.
It's intense. and beyond the threshold of good complex controls.
Okay.
The hell are we talking? Batman.
Batman.
Good Batman games. So
Good
after
Batman.
Adventures of Batman and Robin, there's a bit of a dry spell. You've got Batman Beyond for the N64,
Yeah, Batman Beyond. That's right.
not great.
And then they did Batman Vengeance for the GameCube.
Yeah, they had a few. They had Batman Vengeance, Batman Dark Tomorrow, Batman Rise of Sun Tzu. Most of
Mhm.
those not good.
Yeah.
You don't really see another good Batman game again until, to my knowledge, because there are a lot in that area that I haven't played.
Hmm.
But Arkham Asylum really
Arkham Asylum. Yeah, because before then there was Batman Begins. I never actually played it, so I can't say whether or not it
same.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah. It looked, Metal Gear esque, but probably not as refined if I had to guess. Um, but then yeah, Asylum came out and was just like this great, phenomenal, dark episode of the animated series. With Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill reprising their roles, and they knocked it out of the park. Absolutely phenomenal game. Batman.
Batman.
So yeah,
He's.
I've enjoyed the Arkham games quite a bit.
Are you sad that they? Because it's Arkham Knight's the last one, right?
To my knowledge, yeah.
Yeah. Are you sad that that book is closed now?
No, I think it's good. I think it's really good to deliver something very solid all the way through and leave people satisfied, and not to overdo it, because it's so easy to get caught up in the mess of what happened with Assassin's Creed, especially. That I'm fine with games, exiting when their time is up.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that somewhere down the road they couldn't re-explore similar mechanics or gameplay. Um, but I think they nailed it so hard that I want to see what Rocksteady can do elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like Retro and the Metroid Prime games. I know you're not like as big of a Prime fan. I dug the Prime games, but I want to see Retro do. When they knocked out Donkey Kong Country Returns, I was blown away. I was totally excited, and now I want to see what else they can do besides first person and platforming. I
Yeah.
want to see what this company has great art direction and great general management. What can they do that they have not yet done to excite me?
What I'm really blown away by, in a similar vein, is Platinum. We are both Platinum fans. They just
Yeah,
tackle any project they can get their hand. They're like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that too. Anything you
yeah,
got, throw it our way. We'll take
yep,
care of it. It's
that is true.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a great company. Platinum is fun. They really accept the challenge and they do a good job. They've got really good management though. I mean, any of their directors, Inaba and what the hell is his name, Kamiya, like all those guys, just they know what they're doing. They know what makes a game fun, and they start with that. I've been consistently pleased. Consistently.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me he was willing to bet me that Star Fox Zero was not going to be a good game, and I was immediately willing to take that bet because everything about it tells me like they're going to build on the original Star Fox games in a
Mm-hmm.
way that they tried to do repeatedly and failed at.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like it's fast enough and tight enough that it's still going to be like a good experience. I don't know if you just said something. I couldn't hear anything. No, I can't hear you. Yeah, your microphone's not. Nope. All right. So if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast right now, John is gesturing wildly and trying to figure out why. I heard you. Okay, that sounds really bad, but it's sound.
Hello.
That sounds much better. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Weird. Well, hello everybody.
Hi.
Hi, my name is John.
Hi.
Hello. Okay. What were we talking about? Platinum.
Yes.
Platinum X Star Fox.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
I know. And I mean,
You know,
Star Fox Assault was good.
I
Wasn't
like
great.
that. I like that game.
And that was made by Project Aces,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
if
that
you're
was
going to have a team handle a Star Fox game, that should be the team.
yeah. I thought it was a great game. I know people didn't like the on foot missions, and maybe they did drag on a little long. I think might have been the bigger criticism.
That's really
But
my one. I don't mind being on foot.
Right.
It's just the length of time you spend there compared to the length of time you spend in the R wing that becomes kind of an issue.
Yeah, I can agree with that criticism. But when it came to like a multiplayer standpoint, especially, I played that game multiplayer so much with my buddy Dave, and the fact that like the three mobilities, the R wing, the tank, the landmaster, and on foot were all so like they had really strong strengths and good weaknesses. One of my favorite things was when you're playing a team game, you could jump on somebody's R wing and like press Z and lock yourself onto their R wing and just start shooting, with your bazooka.
Yeah, which
While
is
you
one of the
float
greatest.
around.
Was one of the best moments in the single player campaign too. Is when you get to do that.
Yeah.
That they
And they
added
had,
that into multiplayer was really fun.
mm-hmm. And with the multiplayer as well too, you could actually do it to an enemy. You couldn't like pose on their wing, but you could actually stand on their R wing as long as they were flying straight and just nail them in the cockpit with your bazooka. If they turned or something, you'd fall off. But it was a solid game. It honestly wasn't nearly as bad as people were making it out to be, and I think it really deserves a fair shot simply because you know Star Fox is great. 64 was also a great game. And while Adventures had the Adventure moniker, it's an adventure game because it's called Adventures. Don't expect
Right.
Star Fox.
Right.
I think Assault was really a big step back in the right direction, but people had already sort of made up their mind that, oh, there's an on foot mission. I don't think I'm going to like that game. And they decided already that that was no good when it turns out it was actually really well done.
Yes.
Because if I remember correctly, the 64 version, when you're doing like the on foot multiplayer, because that's the only time in the game you do on foot.
That was with a
you
cheat
don't
code,
actually
I
run
think, too,
forward.
right? You had to unlock it by getting all the medals, maybe.
All the medals. Once you got all the medals, you could do it, and you had to like press a button to run forward. So it was almost like not on rails, but like you accelerate your character by pressing a button instead of like running freely, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. That sounds
Yeah,
right.
it was a kind of a weird mechanic, but I loved it, man. Star Fox 64 multiplayer was very basic, very bare bones, and a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, that kind of ties into something that I mentioned. There's something I wanted to talk to you about
Oh yes,
because
yes.
we're talking about Star Fox Assault and how people kind of prejudge it.
Yeah.
And we do this too. And you and I have both sort of made up our minds about games early.
It's human
we'll
nature.
say.
Yeah.
So I have been going through my old Nintendo games, things that I haven't beaten, things that have plagued me my whole life, and I came across a game that I have spent a long time thinking was crappy, and by the end of it, I was really, really excited about and would play it again very soon.
Okay.
And that game is Street Fighter 2010.
Yes, I remember. Okay, I've played it and I haven't really like delved into it, but yeah, let me hear
I
the story.
I think everyone kind of finds out about this game like, oh, Street Fighter on the Nintendo. Like, even if you like your most educated opinion going into it blind is like it'll be like Mighty Final Fight. Like it's going to be amazing. It's Capcom,
Sure.
like late early 90s. And you start it up and it's just all wrong. Like if that's your the fact that it has Street Fighter in the title completely sours every aspect of that game.
The character's name is Ken.
Character's name is Ken. Yeah. His best friend is Tony.
Oh.
And you have to fight like mutants that have been affected by cyboplasm.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's so Nintendo,
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes. And you start the game and you're in like this weird free roaming section where you can go up, down, left, and right, and you just have to like kill these enemies that are attacking you. And then after a few seconds, like the boss appears. Then you kill the boss, and once you kill the boss, you have 10 seconds to find the exit and go on to the next level. What really endeared me to this game, it's got really good Capcom era music. Like the music composition is very, very good. So much to the point that Erin was like, wow, I really like the music in this game. And she's never played like a Mega Man or anything. Yeah. And so I was just like, oh, well, that's because it's like amazingly composed. Like,
sure.
Graphics are so-so, but there's like some kind of cool, like gnarly monster designs and things like that. Controls are complex, again, but in kind of a good way. Like you've got a jump button, you've got an attack button. If you press a direction while you're attacking, you'll get different attacks. You've got attacks for like if you jump backwards, Ken will do a backflip, and if you press the attack button at the arc of your jump, he'll fire a blast downward while he's jumping over something. So like there's a lot of opportunities for like cool attacks and like figuring out ways to put them into the game. Because most of the time, whatever you're fighting is stronger than you. It's the game is very much like a boss rush most of the time. Every level is short and capped off by like some kind of boss encounter. But you can cling to walls, you can cling to ceilings and flip up through them. You can find power-ups to make your attack stronger. What really I came away from the game feeling like it was Capcom's take at Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
It's got a bit of a difficulty curve. It took me about 4 or 5 hours to beat, kind of sight unseen to the end.
Yeah.
But the controls are really tight, and the more you play it, the more you understand it, the more you kind of say like, okay, I think I could do this here, and see whether or not it works. I really think it's a good game. I haven't thought that for years and years and years and years. And it was just like I got a bug up my butt that I was like, I'm gonna play Street Fighter 2010 and see how this goes for me. And I loved it. I loved it a bunch. Like seriously, thought it was really good. So my question to you is, what were some games that you felt like at first glance you're like, nah, it's not really, I don't think so. But then like later on, for whatever reason, you came to appreciate as a good game.
Just something just happened that snapped within.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of fun because like right now you're mentioning, a game from your childhood that is not generally remembered that fondly, and then suddenly, like it changes. And I had a kid come in the store today. He was probably like 10 years old, and he was looking at NES games. He was here with his grandma, and I said, "Hey, are there any NES games you're looking for?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm sort of checking it out. I like to collect these things, and I wanted like one of these turbo controllers. It was like a joystick, so I could play Top Gun." And I said, "Oh, well, right on. Yeah, that sounds fun." And so he's looking around and just checking stuff out. And I said, "Well, do you have like any favorite games? Is there, what are some of your favorite Nintendo games?" He goes, "You know what? I really like Jaws." And that was interesting because, I don't know a lot of people who actively say that. I like the game simply because I played it as a kid and I was able to beat it. Not because I think it's a great game, but it holds a good spot with me because I have that memory with it. And so like talking about it with this kid was like, well, that's actually kind of cool because I can't imagine anybody, younger than me thinking Jaws for the Nintendo is a good game. And, unless it was, somebody who grew up in that era that liked it as well too, but especially somebody that was probably born in like post 2000, right?
Yeah.
Weird. But this kid did, and that was really cool to me. But I did write an article a while back about Dead Rising 3. And I'm trying to think if there's any like, Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games that like I enjoyed more. But Dead Rising 3 is the biggest one that I can think of because I remember I bought it and I was like, hey, it's cool. Like, I guess I just didn't put much thought into it. It was just, it's another Dead Rising. Oh, the Xbox One's a little more powerful. Okay, I guess it's very formulated. And it wasn't until we watched Dead Rising Watchtower that got like the bug. And I went, oh, I kind of want to play Dead Rising 3 again. Gave it a shot, got super hooked, put like another 40 hours into it very quickly. And like, I haven't actually touched it since because I really like invested a ton into it at that point. But one that actually does come to mind, and this is thanks to the remake, was Bionic Commando.
Yeah.
As a kid, no, like the mechanics were too, you couldn't jump. I didn't understand the swinging. You died in one hit. It was really like an intense game.
No continues, quote.
No. Yeah, it was just it was in your face up front and so difficult. And I liked tough games as a kid, Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, all that stuff. But Bionic Commando's control scheme it went against the law that I had made myself at the time, which was A is jump and B is shoot. And if those two rules aren't met, unless it's like Zelda or something, if those two rules aren't met, the game is not going to be fun to me. And that was also like the same era where if B was jump and A was shoot, it was like
every Day to East game. All of them. Bad Dudes, Heavy Barrel. They're just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just flip the buttons to what everyone else is doing?
Because, And so with Bionic Commando, you didn't have this jump mechanic. And at the time, I don't think I understood it. But Bionic Commando Rearmed really introduced a lot of like the sort of tutorial-esque aspects of it by putting those training rooms in. And as I got more comfortable with that, I found that I could go back to Bionic Commando on the NES and play it competently, and that was really interesting to me because it wasn't, the mechanics were bad. It was that I didn't give the mechanics enough of a chance. I didn't understand them. And so because of that, they were too hard to me. And that's not a fault of the game. The game mechanics are very deliberate. Once you understand them, it plays very well.
Yeah.
And so I'm a sucker for grappling hooks as it is. That's one of my favorite video game mechanics, and I love the classic Bionic Commando tremendously at this point.
How do you feel about? I believe it's called Energy Hook. Have you heard about this game?
Oh, this is the one that was by the Spider-Man 2 game mechanic guy, right?
Yeah. God, I can't think. I know his last name is Hap.
Yeah.
He's done some he's worked on some really big games, and he's a pretty decent game designer. But yeah, he's taking the core sort of web swinging of Spider-Man 2
Mhm.
and giving it more heft, making it feel more like you're. Because one of the things he said is that he didn't like the original Spider-Man web swinging because it didn't
Right.
feel like you were grabbing onto anything.
Yeah.
And so this is very much like you have to grab onto things.
Hmm.
It looks interesting. I don't know what the actual game's gonna play like,
Yeah. I
but
saw him swinging on, like,
it's
neon buildings and stuff.
it's coming out tomorrow for Steam Early Access.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Maybe just to check it out.
Yeah, even if it's just like a tech demo, like if you enjoy swinging on things.
Yeah, I very much do. And most of the world will never agree with this, and we've talked about this dozens of times. Bionic Commando 2009 is my favorite 3D swinging mechanic ever because it feels very tangible to me.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like if you weren't close enough to something, you weren't going to grab it. And it had this great mechanic where as long as you're holding down the L button, the moment your reticle comes across anything that you're able to swing onto, it'll do it automatically. So if you're in like panic mode and like you're falling to death, you just hold the L button, swing the camera around, and hope it grabs onto something. And then you'll grab onto it, pull yourself into a building, or pull yourself like around a corner. But the camera, other than being like on the right stick, was also mapped to the D-pad, where if you hit left, it would swing 90 degrees instantly. Hit right, swing 90 degrees instantly. You hit back or down, and it would swing 180 degrees instantly. So like if you're truly panicking, you can just go nuts with the pad and sort of save yourself if you're in like a moment of like dire, like, last ditch effort. And I actually really like that as well too. But that
Yeah,
game felt very good to me from a swinging gameplay mechanic standpoint. So, what was this guy's game called again?
Energy Hook.
Energy Hook. Okay, I'd like to check it out.
He has a section on the website that says what the press and Tim Schafer are saying, and Tim Schafer's quote is, "I'd play that game for sure."
Good. Well, if Tim Schafer would potentially play it, I would.
Yeah.
Give it a go.
So that'll be interesting to check out. Hopefully, I'm not a big Steam Early Access guy, but there's
Yeah.
certain people and certain ideas that you kind of just want to support any way you can.
Right. Absolutely. I like supporting folks who really they believe in their dream,
Yeah.
and that segues me into Devil's Third.
That's exciting.
I am really pumped every time I watch like a gameplay video of this, and it excites me. And not because I think oh, this is so brand new, shooting and swords, but every time I read Itagaki talk about it, like on his Facebook page or like in interviews, I get excited because he talks with such love about this project, and I really like everything he's made so far. So just I don't know, hearing his enthusiasm makes me excited for the game. And then every time I watch it, I just think about how proud he is that this dude is cutting guys down with swords and blasting people with cannons. And I think, dang, this is what he wants us to experience. I can't not be pumped for this.
Right.
But
And it's Itagaki, so it's gonna be over the top. It's gonna be violent, right?
mm-hmm.
And there are people who will say like, why, like Jonathan Blow would say like, why
Yeah.
does this game need to exist? There's a million of these games already. But it is very much his Itagaki's vision. This is what he desires to bring forth into the world.
Yeah.
And who's anyone to deny him, giving his dream a form that people can share in.
I agree. He doesn't have to buy it. If he doesn't, think it's necessary, cool. And that made me think of do you remember, Renegade Kid?
Sounds familiar.
So they did like the Dementium series, they did Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Geo Drifter, and there's like a small, fun little development company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jules Watson is their guy. He, he's really cool, very personable fellow. And I remember a couple of years back, they were like, "Hey, we're really excited to announce like this brand new project we're doing, and we can't wait." And so everybody's like, "Oh, what's it going to be? Some brand new, whatever." And all it was just, "Hey, it's an ATV quad racing game." And I remember thinking, "Well, that doesn't, that already exists. That's already out there." But then I thought, like, he's excited because this is his version of it. Like
Yeah.
I've drawn a picture before of things that already exist and that there's better pictures of already. But when I get to draw it, that's my version and I'm excited. You know?
Yeah.
I've drawn Mewtwo with big muscles before. There's people who have drawn better Mewtwo's with bigger muscles, and that doesn't diminish the fact that I love the effort that I put into my own Mewtwo with muscles.
Right.
So, like, you know, then I looked at that and said, well, yeah, that's his thing. And he's excited to make this game. And this is his take on what it should look like, what it should play like, what unlockables there should be, what the track design is. Awesome. That's, you know, like, let this dude do his thing. And if you don't want to buy it, cool, whatever. But he's excited to make this game because he wants to make his own ATV, you know, racing thing. Why not? So, yeah, with Itagaki making something that, you know, might already kind of exist in some capacity, that's cool, but it's still going to have his own character, his own flavor, his own control, his own technique, his own stylings. And that just, you know, he's passionate about it. He believes in his vision and his projects. And that alone makes me, you know, he admits that at this point now he and the Tekken guy, Harada, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
are no longer, you know, like at ends with each other about like their fighting games and like, you know, they go grab beers together and stuff like that. But I like that he used to butt heads in that fun sort of competitive respect. But he's a cool guy who does respect the game, you know?
Yeah.
And so that alone makes me happy. Whereas if you got to sit there and be like, you know, why should this game exist? I'm Jonathan Blow. I made it, you know, 2 games and they're better than everybody on the planet. It's like, yeah, I like your games, but like, what's wrong with you? So, and if you're watching this, Jonathan Blow,
Yeah. Kiss this.
yeah, kiss these, kiss my grits. So, but yeah, you know, Devil's Third, man, I'm pumped, and that's I think it just came out in Japan, and I want it out here now instead. But
What is it? Q1 2016, I think.
actually, I think it's going to be Q4
Oh,
of
okay.
this year, so it's not that far off. I think it comes out in Europe in like a couple weeks, and shouldn't be too much longer after that for the US.
I saw an article that kind of surprised me couple days ago, maybe a week ago, that they're gonna make another Disaster Report game, which there hasn't.
Well, yeah, that's interesting.
There hasn't been one in like almost a decade, I think.
PS2,
And they're
yeah.
weird games, you know. They're very kind of like they're I don't know. I've never really gotten into them, but I've never really had a chance to play them either.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of interested. Just I'm glad to see that, right? Like we live in an era now where there's no reason really why you shouldn't be able to keep a series alive, unless it's like a $10 million AAA. Like, but even then, you could make like a 2D platformer. You know, you could make like a reimagining of it with the skeleton crew, and you know, not a lot of money. So it's always disappointing to find like, oh, like this series is over because licensing issues or whatever.
Sure.
When like they could just, you know, Disaster Report 4 doesn't need to be this giant 3D game. It is going to be, which is cool. Yeah. But I'm happy to see sort of like lesser known franchises and more sort of underground games continue to get their audience excited. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played any of the Disaster Report games?
No, I've just seen them at the store, but I've never actually tried any of them.
Have you played Disaster Day of Crisis? The Wii game that never came out in America? I was so excited for that game. Basically every game that I was excited for on the Wii never came out.
What was that really... they were going to do?
Oh, something like that, yeah. I was thinking of Project Hammer.
Oh, right.
Project Hammer never came out. And I read in an interview recently that the reason it never came out is that it just never was fun. Like they were just never able to make it fun to play.
Yeah, I read that too. That's sad. But it's also good to be able to say, listen, guys, this just isn't happening, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so much better. Did you ever see, I remember I posted a video a while back of the canceled version of Battletoads for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
And I remember posting that, and I said, you know, guys, just because a game can come out doesn't mean it should. And Svensson actually commented on it. He goes, man, you've never been more correct. And this is right around the time when Mega Man Legends 3 was being canceled. And I was like, guys, I know you want Mega Man Legends 3, but it probably sucked, you know? Or Mega Man Universe, it probably sucked. And like, it's good to not just mar the name, you know, gonna piss some people off, whatever. But if a game's gonna suck, you might as well like just save some face and be like, no, trust us, we're canceling this because Trust us.
Well, here's the crappy thing about that though is that it would probably still have fans. You know, like I respect where they're coming from in the sense that like the amount of money that a company like Capcom has to spend to release a game, the amount of media attention a Mega Man game is going to get, the increased scrutiny. If they could just like say like, no, it's not Mega Man. You know, it's Darkwing Duck 2.
Right.
And like if it sucks, people are like, well, you know, all right.
If they did a new Darkwing Duck on the Mega Man Legends 3 engine, walk around the city and kick cans into like Launchpad's face or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd play that. That would be amazing if they thought the game was just not working out well and they still decided, well, on top of the fact this game isn't good, let's just buy the rights of Darkwing Duck, throw it on top of that, spend an extra, $50,000.
Yeah.
And release it anyway.
You know, the Darkwing Duck and Tailspin are really good Nintendo games.
Yes.
But Darkwing Duck and Tailspin are really bad TurboGrafx games.
Yeah, that's weird. Who had the license for those on those systems on the Turbo?
Turbo Technologies. It was actually proprietary for the North American division.
Okay, well, this goes to show. Man, Capcom and their license stuff on Nintendo was just so solid.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening and you're too much of a man, that's why I said guys. Ladies, you probably already know. Guys, if you feel like you were too much of a man to play Little Mermaid on the NES, you were wrong because it's really good.
Really good. You shoot bubbles at fish.
Yeah, it's easy, but that makes it all the better because you're just like, okay, that was a nice tight like hour and a half Capcom platformer. What's next?
Mm-hmm. Now, Capcom pretty much knocked out of the park. We got a Famicom at my store the other day from a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And he sent us a copy of Mickey Mouse, which we know here as Mickey Mousecapade, which is just an escort quest for the whole game.
Yep.
And if Mickey Mouse dies, you die.
Yep.
And I've never beaten that game. And that game is actually one of those nightmare games to me where I've tried many times to like really go through and like want to like, okay, now that I'm an adult, I've got the patience and the fortitude to do this.
Yep. And
I get to like, spring, summer, fall, winter, whatever. And
that's where the game gets tough.
The game ends as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
There's I think one more level after that.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think I finished it. I think there's only 4 levels. And the season forest is definitely where it gets hard. Yeah. But it's very doable. I think you could handle it. I believe in you.
Maybe I'll do it one of these days. But he sent us some pretty cool games. One of them was a Konami game that I never played or even heard of, just because there's a lot of stuff out there. King Kong 2. Okay, yeah, and just King Kong 2, right? And I was like, okay, King Kong. And then when the game starts up, you hear Konami NES sound effects, and there's like a Konami sign on like a board in the city, and King Kong runs down like an alleyway and starts like jumping and throwing rocks or whatever. And it's sort of like an overhead view, kind of like Commando.
Like a top-down run and gun?
Kind of like run and gun. Yeah, I guess it's probably a better comparison. And King Kong's just running around and jumping on stuff and throwing barrels and smashing things. And like, you destroy like a turret and like a little glowing heart comes out. And I was like, this just looks like a game that if it came out in America when I was a kid, I would have played the poop out of this thing. And so I haven't really sat down at the store and played it yet because I wanted to bring it to my house, pop it on the Retron, and like actually do like a playthrough at the house. But it's solid. It makes me really happy to look at like a Konami game that I've never touched and go, this looks like a good Konami game.
Yeah.
Conversely, it makes me sad to know that within 3 weeks, I'm going to be buying what I presume will be my last Konami game.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks so good, though.
I'm beyond excited for this. This is one of my most anticipated titles of all time. And I can't tell you how sad it makes me to think that, like, after this, I can't imagine what kind of support I will ever have for the company again, because will they do anything I want to support?
Out of everything that kind of came out with during this whole thing, like one thing that struck me as, I played a lot of Dance Dance Revolution.
Sure.
And so I'm like very intimately connected with that franchise. And one of the things that I read from like the employees sort of anonymously telling people what was going on at the company is that they just took that whole team and just dumped them with the whole, like all the sound engineers.
I heard that.
And it's just like, that's so disrespectful. Yeah. These people are doing like making music. Some of them have had like radio hits.
Yeah.
and they're working all these aspects of this game besides just what it sounds like. And like, now you guys can all just you guys handle the pachinko sound effects.
Take a hike, man. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like if they just want to focus on whatever soccer games they're doing and pachinko, cool. That's where they are now. That's what they've turned into, and that's the direction they want to go. I guess that's it. Like no amount of us screaming and bitching will change that. They're set in their ways at this point.
Yeah, and they make enough money.
Yeah,
And if they stop making enough money, they're probably, there's not a lot of arrogance in Japanese business.
yeah,
Like, Arakawa was kind of arrogant, but he knew what he was doing at the same time.
right.
And so I think if this turns out to be a dumb move on Konami's part, they'll change direction again.
Yeah, whatever it takes to make money, because right now they're sufficient with just this stuff.
Yeah.
It costs so much less to make a pachinko machine than it does to hire Kojima to make a multi-million-dollar game. Make a pachinko machine.
Yep.
It sucks for people like us who don't want that, but that's the business. That's the business,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shame, but what can you do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could buy the rights to King Kong video games, and then
I'm probably just going to buy the rights to King Kong and make him the official store mascot at Gamers Anonymous. I told you I tried to do that with Bubsy, right?
yes.
Okay.
I am very sad that didn't pay out.
I got actually at this point, maybe somebody, had let the rights expire because it was back in 2005. Somebody renewed it, and I don't know what the licensing term was.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So in 2007, when we looked into it, like it was a no-go, but at this point, maybe it was like a 5-year lease or something, and it's done. Because I would buy Bubsy.
Yeah, give it a shot,
Yeah, might as well look into it.
What could possibly go wrong?
We could abuse that like crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Trade in your used games. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, more like a bridge too short. There's a couple other things to talk about, and we sort of touched up on it just a second ago with cancellation, localization, and stuff. And there was a really interesting interview with Chris. I can't remember his name actually. Chris something or other from the Nintendo Treehouse, and he was talking about the process of localization and the costs that go into it, and why it's very, very simple for somebody to say, Nintendo, do you hate money? Because I want to buy this niche game that you guys should translate.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot really does go into translation. I read, what was going on with the process of localizing Xenoblade Chronicles for North America. And what it came down to was that the cost did not justify the means. And the only reason it happened is because Nintendo of Europe said, we'll usurp the cost and allow this to happen. And they just lost money on it. And as a business move, that's bad, because losing money on business, it's not
generally not a good idea.
Losing money. So, they got a whole bunch of new fans and stuff, and that's kind of cool, but it still was just technically a bad business move that they just sort of did for the fans. And you can't do that kind of thing willy-nilly. So
right.
Very impressive they even decided to do that at all. But the cost of, number one, translating the game, number two, voice acting the whole thing, people rewriting it to make it make, sense. It takes place over the course of a year. Paying an employee, there are a set of employees for a year, and voice actors for however long is not a cheap job. And I think sometimes it's not taken into account when it's like, just bring the game over here. So, with a lot of the cost being absorbed by Nintendo of Europe, I think it was really cool of them to actually do that. But I think it's also very easy to overlook the fact that, even once a game has been developed, localizing it for different markets still costs lots of money.
Right. And I understand that point, and
Mm-hmm.
I empathize with that point. I'm a reasonable man. I understand.
Sure.
But John.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. I'm going to ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Top 5 games on the Virtual Console.
Yes.
During the Wii era. What would you put in that list? For you
Top
personally.
5. Okay. Well, a lot of it's Super Nintendo, and we're going strict Virtual Console, not WiiWare.
Right.
Straight Virtual Console. The fact that they did, like Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana was like, really, hey, this is wonderful that you guys have done this. However, I'm going to say Alien Soldier,
Which was an import.
It was a Sega Genesis Mega Drive action platformer. Basically, if Contra were all boss battles.
Yeah.
Great game, just super cool, just fast-paced action game, shoot 'em up, just guns, bullets flying everywhere. I really liked that they did Euphoria, except for like the PAL translation of the game ended up like messing up like the music because they used like the PAL ROM, I guess, which ran kind of weird over here. So it sounds a little bit funky. It doesn't sound well, it kind of sounds bad, but it's still really fun.
Yeah.
Plays just fine. The Virtual Console, even if they didn't get like everything that I wanted out there, they chose some really great gems. Oh, God. There's a couple of missed opportunities, man. I really would have loved Pilot Wing 64 on there, but I think we discussed that development studio for that one. There was probably something hairy that went down.
Yeah.
Complicate that. Dang. I think of Super Metroid, and I think of Link to the Past, and, you know, like, there's the Ninja Gaidens and Mega Man X 1 and 2.
You've already made my point for me.
Okay.
Which is that the two games that you named,
Yeah.
with an asterisk on one of them, were not available in North America.
Correct.
Add to that games like Sin and Punishment.
Oh, yes. True.
Which, you know, granted, like, Euphoria had a European release.
Right.
Alien Soldier is not exactly text-heavy, and Sin and Punishment was oddly in English already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of games like that I think we could... Do Re Mi, Milon's Musical Fantasy.
Yeah.
Was a Super Nintendo Virtual Console transplant that they brought over here. A bunch of the TurboGrafx games they had on there were all not available in North America. Like, there are a lot of games. Like, granted, they couldn't do like Famicom Detective Club. They couldn't just dump that on Virtual Console. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Good luck.
But there are games like Devil World and I think you can play, what is it? Shin, the one with the Nintendo game with the samurai.
Oh yeah, there's like the Muramasa Castle. There's
Yeah.
Shin Onagi-sama or whatever.
Yeah. I don't think those games are extremely text heavy.
They brought that one to the Virtual Console for the 3DS.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, for the NES 3DS, that one actually is on there.
Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah,
Like, there's things like that I think they could really, the Goemon games for the most part, you could probably get away with. And there are enthusiasts out there that, like Tomato, when he did the Mother 3 translation, he famously offered that to Nintendo for free. He was like, you don't have to pay me for that work. If you want to release an actual cart with my translation, go for it. And I think Nintendo could tap in. I don't think there's... They kind of say, like, oh, well, you know, there's legality issues. Like, not really. If you have them fill out the right paperwork, it's done. It's a done deal. Your butt is covered.
I think there's, like, a weird, like, company pride or something. I'm not sure what that process is all about, but yeah, it would be amazing if Nintendo says, you know... I wonder, though, if they'd want to run it back to the treehouse for quality control, make sure that everything is, you know, spelled correctly, works correctly.
That would take some money. Yeah, that would take some money.
But honestly, you know, a very minimal amount considering most of the work has been done. It's almost just a proofread at that point.
Why don't we have a version of Kuru Kuru Kurin yet? I love that game.
I don't know. Yeah, that should have been out here long ago. You know, I understand during the GameCube era they were really hesitant to bring like experimental stuff to the West, and I don't know why, because they brought Donkey Konga, which was, you know,
well, that was kind of later. I read an interview with Neil Voss the other day, the composer for Tetrisphere and the new Tetris. And it was an interview that he did with IGN in like 1998, and he said that, you know, they were asking him like, well, you made your own studio now, like, what are you hoping to do? Are you hoping to make a new game? Are you hoping to do like what's your goal? And he said that he wanted to make like sort of like to what sounds like now a very common sort of thing. He's like, I want to make like a musical audio-visual experience that maybe has like some beat matching stuff in it that kind of is sort of more out there. And then he followed that up with saying, I don't really think Nintendo would let me do that though, so maybe on the PlayStation or the PC. And it got me thinking that like on the N64, there are not, like, Animal Forest is the only really kind of like experimental game I can think of on the N64.
Doshin the Giant.
Was Doshin? Yeah, it was. Or was that?
Yeah, that came out 64 originally for like
That's right.
The disk drive.
The disk drive. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, those are like the two though. Besides, yeah, I guess the Mario, the whole disc drive experience though was extremely.
That was very experimental.
Yeah.
But like the 299 like North American release N64 games, they're all
Yeah.
extremely for the most part. Like there are some things that are innovative. There are things that are I'm not saying that they're bad games,
Yeah.
but there is a very distinct lack of risks taken.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything was pretty conventional. It was just like a 3D platformer or like a racing game.
Yeah.
You know, first person shooter. Like that was kind of it. A couple fighting games here and there, a couple 2D platformers, but like, yeah, that's true. There wasn't really anything like that in the local market, um, here especially. That was no, no,
So I think that's part of it is that there was probably like a bit of, you know, Nintendo's willing to take risks with their hardware in terms of doing like weird control schemes and like odd peripherals from time to time, but for the most part, I don't really see them greenlighting a lot of risky software.
no,
So that's
no.
that.
There was a lot of opportunity. Like you said, the Kururin games, and I'm actually kind of surprised they did end up bringing Rhythm Heaven here.
Yeah.
Um, and I love those games. Those are Nico. I mean, he might even be watching. That's one of his favorite series ever, if not his actual favorite. And I just started playing Rhythm Heaven on the DS again, and it's a great game. Those games are so much fun. You can import the GBA one. That's actually probably still my favorite. Uh, Truly great game. I think Intelligent Systems did those. A lot
Sounds
of like
right.
the WarioWare team. Yeah, and just solid games, man. Super fun, very precise, very well done. Yeah, Kururin.
Fantastic game. And then Roundabout is out now, and it's basically the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
which has me excited because I loved those games, and I like the sort of weird, sort of funny artistic direction that they took with Roundabout.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of the Japanese companies, there are so many times when they could have capitalized in the West, and probably talked about this as well too. But Car Freaks, Konami,
Yeah.
they just brought that here, and instead somebody else did and brought more and made infinity dollars.
Yep.
So, they milked that thing to death. And I was listening to some of the music from Power Dunker 2000X,
Yep.
which is cool because like the way it's done is normally you say 2000X is 200X, but this one is 2000X, so it's essentially 20,000X,
Yeah.
that's way in the future. And at the very end, like this cool basketball player is like slamming a dunk, and like a biplane flies in front of him as if like symbolizing his like airtime or whatever.
Those are fun games. Those are really. I enjoyed what I got to play for the Bimani series,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still making them, but
Yep. How much longer is that going to happen?
I don't know.
Now,
I have to feel. You know what I have to feel bad for is like Konami of America. What
Yeah.
are they gonna do now?
they're just sitting here thinking, yeah, that's true. Their position is, I guess we published the soccer game. Well, yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I want to talk to a Konami of America employee, if I know anybody who's associated.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I know we had talked about the potential of doing like a small little sort of break in the middle of
Yeah.
our podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what we want to do for the break. We just want I got to go to the bathroom. I gotta go powder my nose.
I got this slice of pizza.
Got a slice of pizza I gotta eat.
Yeah.
Dig it. And then we have a couple other things to come back to. More conversation, more discussion. Just sort of more things. More things in general.
But also newness, new ideas.
Oh yeah, new things, new experiences, new adventures.
New Adventure Island.
It's really funny.
John, I beat an NES Adventure Island game.
Which one?
2.
Two? Have you
Yeah.
ever beat the first one?
No. Hell no.
I really like that game.
The first Adventure Island?
Yeah.
I like it, but it's one of those games that I like I want to beat it, but I am so far from being able to beat that game that it's hard for me to think positive thoughts about it.
I played it a lot on the Game Boy Advance when like the Famicom version came out, and found that like just the more I played it, like the better I got. And I mean, that's how that goes, of course. But it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. It's mostly just pattern memorization. It's what I like about this game is because it's based off of Takahashi Meijin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a fairly well-known Japanese video game player. He sets high scores and stuff like Star Soldier, and the game is based off of him because he basically like markets it as a skill game. And a skill game is it's got responsive control. It's very straightforward. You go for high score. It's literally like it's an NES game is the way to put it. It's a Famicom game. It's an 8-bit Nintendo system game. And what I like about it, because I was playing it at the store the other day, is it really is just if you want to go fast, you can go fast. If you want to go slow, you can go slow. If you want to get the skateboard, you can go extra fast. You have to shoot your hammers at the right time. You got to know the patterns. You got to know the bosses. And it's something it's very simple. It's very simplistic. You get hit once, you're dead. If you have a power up, you can get hit twice, you're dead. But like as I was playing through it, like one of my employees and I were sort of going back and forth for a high score, and I was just thinking, this is just a really solid like video game. When I say video, the story is as minimal as it gets. It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter at all. It's literally you play this game to get a high score. Maybe if you want to beat it, that's cool. But like it's a high score game, competitive high score meta game.
Yeah.
And I really like sometimes just picking up something like that. Same with Star Soldier. It just you play, you go for high score. In fact, the game is based on like they have like a 5-minute score attack mode.
Yeah.
Where you play it and it just times you for 5 minutes to get your highest score. And sometimes the fact that the game recognizes that immediately, saying, hey, compete with your buddies, like it's built into this, that's kind of an attractive, fun thing for me.
I can agree with that.
But I've never beaten that either. I've never beaten any of the Adventure Islands, and I still have to beat Super Adventure Island 2. I haven't played since you were here.
It's a good game.
It is a good game. It's a really good game. Like a Super Zelda 2. But I love just NES games that just say play me. Play me.
Yeah. That's something that I think is important. Like I'm doing I told you about these sort of like competitions that I've been doing with my Friday night gaming group.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been going as far back as like NES games, but typically like the first round is a classic arcade game. Like so far we've done Donkey Kong and we've done Joust. And these are games that like don't really need a lot of explanation, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is sort of a lost art where you can back then you'd have to go into an arcade and how would you decide what game to put your money in?
Right.
There isn't someone standing next to every cabinet saying, oh, to get this high score, you need to do these special attacks. And, like, when you get to the third level, there's going to be these obstacles to get past. Like, you just have to sort of figure these things out as you went. And I think there is kind of a universal skill to playing video games where if you play enough of them, you say, like, oh, like, that barrel's going to explode when I shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Or this enemy's going to duck when I try to attack him, and you kind of carry these sort of universal constants from game to game, and if they apply, they apply, and if they don't, they don't, and you just sort of move on. And I think that a lot of developers have kind of forsaken that that instant accessibility in favor of just having a fail-safe tutorial in place.
Sure.
So
I have a question for you. Because, I mean, you like me, you like a game that has a good story.
I love a game that has a good story.
But a story is not necessarily the driving factor behind what makes you want to play a game, right?
It depends.
So, if story was your prime factor when playing a game, if you played a game just for the story,
Yeah.
would walking into an arcade have any appeal to you?
It could. You have to think about like what games have like really pronounced intros,
Mm-hmm.
like a game like Final Fight. Final Fight's intro was intense for the time.
Sure, it's really well done, absolutely. But would you say that's a game that you played because you're like, I need to know what happens next? Or is it because you're like, I'm going to play with my buddy and beat dudes with pipes?
Yeah, that's the latter. But
Okay, great.
home
so,
versus arcade market.
Sure, and not that the story isn't enjoyable, because they know that actually does have an active narrative. Double Dragon has a narrative. There are arcade games that do have, inspiration to say, here's why you go to the next level. And they fill it in. Not that it's deep or complex or anything, but it's still there. It's a vehicle that's understood. Here's why, and that's all it really needs to be. Do you know what you're doing? Okay, then the story is being told well. Um, but like if I were to say to talk to somebody, because I talk to some people that say I only play games for the story, um, Final Fantasies or Zelda games or like Mass Effect or stuff like that. I wonder what the appeal of like going into arcade would be. Are you playing to play? Or are you playing for story? I don't play Pac-Man for story or Joust or Donkey Kong or even F-Zero. But they have elements that have established themselves. Pac-Man's is very very basic. Donkey Kong's, we know what it is and it's nothing to it, but it's still and that's kind of cool, right? And F-Zero certainly has an element of story. It's all behind the scenes, but it's still there.
Right.
Still, every character has a reason to be there, and I kind of like the idea of saying, the story exists as far as you want it to.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I love a game that has a beautiful, lush presentation. The Metal Gear games, I mean, I love those, and those are way more story than gameplay. I'll totally admit to that. But I do like the way that they play out in tandem with the gameplay elements that are there.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And this kind of like, I would say that story is an important element for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's among like the top 3 or 5 reasons why I would really say, not why I would think a game is fun, but why I would say a game is necessary to play.
Sure.
But people in general will never criticize a game for not having enough story, but they will criticize it for having it too much. If there's too much dialogue, there's too much narrative, there's too many cutscenes, people say like, well, this is really getting heavy-handed. Like, I want to just get back to playing the game. Because it's an interactive medium. Whereas something like Pac-Man, you put it in the quarter, you press the button, you're playing Pac-Man now.
Right.
There are like 2 blips of 5 seconds where you are not playing Pac-Man. But other than that, it's just Pac-Man. And no one's ever like, I really wish they would just, explain more of what Pac-Man's do. Like, that's never...
Right.
No one's ever saying, like, this needs more exposition.
Yeah.
So...
Well, Pac-Man World solves that, I'm assuming.
Pac-Man 2 solves that pretty extensively.
I suppose it's true. He has a house. You can hit him with slingshot bullets. Buckeyes or whatever. I don't even know.
I really like that game, but I also really don't like that game.
I agree. I think it's cool that they took it in such a radically different direction, so it's not just Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man Jr. It's actually like the new adventures. It's very appropriately titled.
I'm also going to say my quota of my one angry controversial thing per episode of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who plays Zelda for the story is just playing Zelda using an excuse that they've used to play other games like Mass Effect and Final Fantasy.
Right.
Because Zelda is so lacking of a story, both in a large narrative and from game to game. Like, consider that Zelda 1 has pretty much no NPCs to talk to other than like shopkeepers and hint dudes. Right?
Yeah.
Zelda 2 really introduced the most NPCs until Ocarina of Time. But about half of them say, I don't have time to talk to you.
True.
If not more than half. Zelda 3 has a village with maybe like 3 people who have something interesting to say.
Sure.
Zelda Link's Awakening has... it's got like the fetch quest stuff. The fetch quest stuff is very NPC heavy and kind of has like good flavor to it. And then and then you get to Ocarina of Time where there's a lot of people to talk to. A lot of things, but no one talks. You don't talk to NPCs in Zelda because they don't ever have anything pertinent to say.
No, they don't offer
except in Majora's Mask.
Right. That is actually the one where it's very important to say other characters besides you are fleshed out.
You don't play Zelda for the story. Nobody plays Zelda for the story.
It's a claim one likes to make. And see, here's what I think about that, because I was thinking about Mario in the same way I was talking to Lex about this whole thing. And I said, so Mario doesn't really have a story that's worth really talking about. She goes, no. What's cool about the Mario story is that it's consistent. You know what you're getting into, and it's even if it's formulated, it's at least it's solid in that the tale is something happened to Peach, and you've got to get Bowser to prevent that. And even if it's not deep or or exciting, it's still kind of like that's sort of the hallmark presentation of it. And she says it in its own merit. That's kind of cool because it doesn't have to be complex to be a story, but the story is that this is the recurring theme. And Zelda's very similar to that. Zelda, it doesn't deviate almost at all, from what it kind of sets out to do. And Majora probably is the one that is the most heavy-handed with anything that gives you a semblance of a world beyond Link.
Yeah. Something about Mario I noticed, and I'm going to tell this right now, Nintendo, if you're listening, this is what you need to do.
Right.
I was looking at a screenshot of Mario Kart 8 the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and there was Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, and Baby Rosalina all racing against each other. And I was thinking, why are there no women in Mario that aren't princesses?
Toadette?
Ah,
Maybe androgynous, though. I mean, the Toad race can sort of be classified as male-female simply because they're like, well, might as well.
right. You got Toadette, you got Birdo.
Birdo, right. Post-operation.
That's it. Catherine.
Teresa. That's the booze.
Oh yeah.
If ghosts are female. I mean, that doesn't mean
Like
anything.
Paper Mario. Paper Mario's got a lot of female characters.
Oh yeah, Goombella.
Yeah, and they're fun characters too.
Yeah.
Why aren't those characters? Why aren't we getting more of them? I'm not trying to be like that guy who's like, well, there needs to be better female representation, but it struck me as I was looking at this picture of like 3 baby girls all wearing crowns in go-karts. And I was just like, where's
a female? It's the closest you have is Daisy, but she's not in the Mushroom Kingdom.
But she is a princess.
Pauline.
Pauline, yeah.
She's just in on the girder in New York or whatever.
I'm upset they made her a brunette, but I understand why they did it.
Oh yeah, for like the art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now in the later games, like she's this very like voluptuous like.
Yeah.
It's weird, but they have to differentiate.
Yeah.
Because you could easily make the mistake that that's Peach up there if you didn't know any better.
Right. Yeah, there's not, other than Paper Mario.
Paper Mario and like Mario Golf.
Yeah. I want there to be like a sick like Wario princess.
Yeah.
And it's like this chick with like, like messed up knees and like her toes are all, knobby, and she has like missing teeth and like a lot of spittle just coming out of her mouth.
You want Anne Ramsey.
I want Anne. Owen, you clumsy poop. I want Anne Ramsey to voice Daisy. I miss Anne Ramsey.
Yeah, I do too.
The fact that she's not here playing Mario Kart with me is really getting me. I'm going to tell you something about Mario Kart that I wish was still happening. And it's interesting because like they use Mario Kart as a way to sort of like flesh out Mario's world.
Yeah.
Because now you have all like these cool like interpretations of like here's like the subway system and here's like the Skyworks system, and Rainbow Road is located above like the Central City Tower, and they have all these things that like you can see from the distance, and it's like an actual complete like world and universe and city, which is really really neat. But I think what I liked so much about Super Mario Kart was the fact that like I'm racing on the chocolate island, or I'm racing on, Donut Plains, or I'm racing in the Koopa Beach, and it was like locations from Mario games that you got to race on instead of like a cityscape.
Yeah, I think Rainbow Road was the only course in Super Mario Kart that wasn't in Super Mario World somewhere.
Right. Yeah, but it felt like if it were like a Mario World level, it would totally like make sense. And so I kind of wish that there was a bit more of that going on, which is I think why I like the retro courses so much, is because seeing the idea of like a Mario World in a fleshed out 3D universe is so much cooler to me. Because I want to know, what does a 3D Donut Plains look like? Oh my god, it looks like that. What does I'm trying to think of more. There's not a Mario Circuit is still kind of within the confines of like a partial Mario 3 style level, Mario 3, Mario World. And I really like seeing 3D interpretations of places that I understood from the games. So
we talked about this. We talked about the Nintendo characters in the Unreal 4 engine. So I'm going to ask you, not necessarily Nintendo, but what's a game that you would like to see sort of vastly updated? Like we'll say 8 or 16-bit brought into current gen, and like have that whole environment opened up to you and reinterpreted.
That's a tough call because there's a lot to choose from. I mean, there's a lot on my list that I would love to see represented like that. Assuming that we could keep the gameplay identical.
Generally intact, yes.
Okay, so the mechanics would feel like proper,
Yeah.
like you would
Maybe
expect.
you could have like more exploration.
Okay. Um. Well, I mean,
Because
I'm gonna
here's what I'm
say
going to
stuff.
ask you: like a donut block, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have holes on four sides, does it?
It, I don't think so.
Right. So there's a whole side of a donut block that you've never seen.
You simply can't see.
Yeah.
I guess I mean they have them in like Mario 3D World.
That's true. Yeah.
So, um, it's funny because like there's certain games I look at my shelf and I go, oh, Earthworm Jim, and then I think Earthworm Jim 3D and go, never mind.
Yeah.
But like there is stuff like if it could be properly fleshed out in a way that would look, the way it's
Correct.
supposed to.
Yeah.
I do think Final Fantasy 3, of course, 'cause I see that over there. I often think Super Metroid, um, Donkey Kong Country, Mega Man X. Like there's some stuff that would look really incredible. Uh, but I'm trying to think of something that like would just blow my mind. I'd love to see kind of like Mega Man Powered Up, like the classic Mega Man games,
Mm-hmm.
redone in like this beautiful, lush, huge. Like the environments are complex and winding, and wherever Monsteropolis's worlds are, like when you're in the Metal Man's level, and there's just gears going behind you that are all constantly for miles in the background, or Crash Man's tower with all these other towers in the background that are holding up things or assembling parts of Dr. Wily's castle or whatever, or the Woodman Forest where there's like a bunch of trees being felled in the background by lumberjacks and Woodman prototypes or things like that.
That would be interesting. Yeah. I'm picturing how I'm seeing this honestly is like Mega Man in the Banjo Kazooie engine.
Whoa. Like running around like collecting notes.
Yeah.
Good.
And talking to rhyming roll.
With like weird little like sound effect voices.
They could have just made a Banjo Kazooie spin-off that was just Rush and beat.
I think it's like Russian.
Oh.
Russian attack, and I always used to pronounce that in my head as Russian, the Russian attack.
Which is how it is supposed to. That's the whole joke, which I didn't.
Okay.
It didn't occur to me until I was much older.
Right. And that's sort of what I thought, but I wasn't sure. I was like, this game was made in the 80s. Like, were the Russians still the bad guys?
Yep.
Yep. So.
Well, do you want to transition into our next little thing here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and I've got something special for you.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I also like it.
I'm dead now. Now that I know
Okay,
there's
well,
something
Michael,
special, I've died.
Michael died, so all right, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna switch over my camera right now
To the Wii.
to the Wii. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys. This is one of my favorite. Well, I was actually going to show you New Adventure Island, and I forgot that I had this version. And is the color all messed up?
Yes, it is.
That's funny. Hold on one second.
Yeah, Master Higgins is blue and the sky is orange.
Well, it's definitely not supposed to be like that, but it is. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can fix that real quick. No idea. I was doing good a little bit earlier. That's all right. We'll get this up and running. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay, so Adventure Island is, as I remember it, sort of like a reimagining of just Adventure Island. The beginning. But they do have a couple things. I think there's a shop in the game, and there's like a world map. If I'm not mistaken, there's a really cool little single-player game. Oh, I didn't transfer all my stuff when I moved this over. There's a skateboard game you can play as well. But there's also like cool. The 16-shot program.
Oh, okay.
Which lets you, gives you 10 seconds to try to hit the button as fast as you can. And I think they even had like a leaderboard where people were cheating in their time. The 999 button presses in 10 seconds, which obviously is just not a thing. So... See, we'll go ahead and start. Yeah, world map, hills and forest. And so they sort of took other Adventure Island games and sort of compressed them all into one. But again, it's a sort of basic kind of thing that I really like, where it's run, jump, press B to run. You get different weapons. I have the axe. You collect fruits, and in the upper left corner, you can see is basically your life meter, which constantly sort of depletes. So it's almost like a timer for the game. And all you're doing is you're running, jumping, killing enemies, and collecting stuff to make it to the end of the level. And something about that, I don't know. I like this kind of simplicity makes it really easy for me to sit down and like play through a game, in like a quick little burst.
Yeah. Now I'm noticing like there's what is that, like a turkey leg down there at the bottom?
There's a turkey leg, and I'm collecting a handful of those. I actually don't remember offhand what they do. If that's like the game currency, I truthfully do not remember. And there's the little honey pot or whatever, and you get like a little bonus at the end of the level. I think it doubles your score. And there's a little honeybee fairy, the Hudson fairy, and she makes you invincible, and you can just cruise your way through the whole level. Oh, skateboard. Yeah, and something like this, when you're looking, I don't know, high score runs, they're fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really into like just super simplistic games like this. Just a quick little. All right, stage 1 clear. I got 3 of the 5 special melons. I think you collect all of those, and like you get some bonus or like a level complete bonus kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, new record. I set a high score. Now, let's. All right, saved my data. I had to play a fair way through the game to actually unlock the what's it called, the 16 shot mode. But you retain your items from level to level. This is something that I actually missed about like some of like the newer Super Mario Brothers games, is that you could get Yoshi, but like he was still limited to the level you got him on, and you couldn't actually take him to other levels later. Yeah. And the reason that made me so sad was because like Mario World and Mario 3 especially, like really promote you exploring the entirety of a level by saying, well, you beat the level normally. Here's the tools with which you can go explore the entire thing and find whatever you can. If there's a secret, go ahead. We challenge you. And I kind of miss when games could, oh no, the eggplant. And it plays crappy music.
John, can you explain why eggplants are so evil in old games?
Can I explain it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually have a reason for it. I know.
Like, do the Japanese just really hate eggplants?
I think a lot of them eat them. I don't know. Maybe there's like some weird stigma that like kids hate them. Like kids here hate broccoli or whatever, right? Like broccoli is the bad word. Oh my god. And in Japan maybe it's like eggplants.
Okay.
But I don't know. They're just really popular in Japan because like in Ice Climbers, you collect eggplants as one of the vegetables as you're making your way to the top of the mountain.
It's a very grumpy looking eggplant, though.
It is. Yeah, he's not very, very happy.
And then there's the eggplant wizard.
I do love the eggplant wizard. Yeah, I spent some of my fruits to buy the ability to hang on to a ledge.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I can buy double jumps. You can buy like a flying jump, which I think you might be able to like sort of pseudo hover. I can't remember.
Huh.
But yeah, it was kind of nice because it does actually reward you going back to each level, finding all the melons, and you can buy alternate costumes and stuff, which I totally don't have any of.
Complete,
but almost
Master
like
Higgins feats,
where you got the different costumes, helmets, and body parts and stuff like that. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can exit this level and see if I can just beat level 4, which I know I probably can't. But
I think it's really. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I thought what would be really fun about going through like this little like playthrough was just because this is available for download on the Wii Virtual Console. So if you have a regular Wii or a Wii U, you can still get this. There's access to go download this game, and I don't know how much longer like any of those things are gonna end up being online. So for a fun little platformer that actually does have some fairly intricate rewards and completion kind of bonuses, it's it's a good way to go. This is
Uh,
actually part of a series I think that they were doing, or they were going to be doing. Oh my god, like Bonk's Adventure.
okay.
And I downloaded the Japanese version on the Japanese Wii because they did Bonk, and it was like a whole bunch of like, oh Jesus, classic games that they sort of redid in like a pseudo 3D style, like this 2.5D. Uh, just I don't know, it was like a fun little project they were doing in Japan, and actually next time I will hook up Bonk so we can check that one out as well too. But I'm sad that like the whole collection didn't make it here because just playing like a bunch of like these sort of classic style arcade esque kind of games um, is it's good. It really lends itself well to the virtual console mentality.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I've downloaded a lot of WiiWare games, and
Oh
they're
damn it!
mostly pretty bad from what I played. Like, but there's a lot of great games out there. Like, there's the Konami's Rebirth series.
Oh, those are great. Yeah, absolutely. No, okay. Hang on the edge. There really were some some not so good WiiWare games. It's true. What kind of games did you end up downloading that you felt were not so great?
I'm trying to remember. I downloaded a lot of the cheaper stuff, like the things that were $5, and a lot of those were just really unsatisfying to me. Um, Things like Party Fun Pirate and um, I'm trying. It's been so long because my Wii bricked years ago, and so I don't have access to any of the stuff that I downloaded anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, One game that I was really surprised by in that range of uh, $5 games was the Magic Obelisk, and I'm really sad that they wound up delisting that after about a year because it was a
Oh
really
shoot.
kind of fun, very artistic game. It
Mm-hmm.
reminded me a lot of like the Wind Waker mixed with Eco.
Oh, cool.
So it was a neat little puzzle game, but uh, I had a lot of fun with that one. I was disappointed to see that it had gone away.
So they replaced like the cool looking like Rhino head boss with like this.
Tree Man. He's got some sick bracelets.
Yeah, I know. I want to knock his bracelets off. Actually, I can't remember exactly what I got to do to kill him. If like this is even effective at all.
Hit his little root thing. Hit the root thing at the top.
Oh my god, he's coming for me. There we go. There we go. It is the root. I thought I was hitting it, but I was wrong.
See, guys, if you're watching or listening, I've never played this game. I've never fought this boss,
It's
but
true.
I've played enough games to recognize that when all the other things didn't work, the root had to be the target that he had
The
to
root
hit.
of all evil.
Yeah,
Oh,
root sports.
there he goes.
So see, you just play enough games, and eventually you'll be able to figure these things out for
Oh
yourselves.
my god, he has a second form where he turned into Autumn.
Oh no, it's like Mickey Mouse Capade.
I know. Oh no. Get out of here. Oh boy. Well, Takahashi Meijin is dead.
Boop
So.
boop 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 boop.
So yep, there you go. That's my game for the week. I wanted to show you guys Takahashi Meijin's Daibokenjima Adventure Island. That's the new one. So yeah, like simplistic, fun. One of the better WiiWare titles because it's got a lot of content. It's definitely playable. Um, there's a handful of other WiiWare games I'd actually like to go through. Some of them that I picked up that I really enjoyed. It'd be worth showing off.
Yeah.
Nick's Quest. It was like a Kid Icarus style.
Yeah, Next Quest was interesting.
I like that one. Handful of those. The Rebirth, Cave Story. Um, I don't even know. I don't even know what games are anymore.
No, I think they're like peppers.
I don't think there's any games anymore.
Oh.
Um, you had asked me the question a little bit ago about like if I could choose a game to be represented newly, what would it be? What about you?
Well, I think I've explained to you my Earthbound dream, the game that I want Earthbound to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it'd be really interesting to see like because there was in the late '90s it was really popular to take games like Frogger and Pong and Centipede and like update them with cool 3D graphics,
Yeah.
but it didn't really add to the experience.
Did you end up playing Pong?
Pong the Next Level? No, I've never played it.
It was actually surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Pong, so it's really simple. But I remember I got the demo of the game with PlayStation Magazine or whatever, and one of the levels was like, you're like in a square arena, just back and forth, Pong paddling, but it was an ice level. So every now and then, like, a penguin would walk down and you might hit the penguin, right?
Uh huh.
However, occasionally what would happen too is on each side of the level, from like a slightly more orthographic point of view, there would be like an ice rift would crack right down the center of the level, and it would like raise up one side. So when the puck went from the top to the bottom level, the player on this side would constantly be having to battle the wall at half, the distance back and forth.
Huh.
That shifted back down to normal, and then you could resume the match like normal. So there was actually some fun mechanics built into it to make it a little bit more like, we'll say Smash Brothers style levels, where level interaction was actually fairly prime,
Yeah.
and that was neat.
Um.
Dream,
Yeah.
man,
That's all I want.
that's the game, man.
I would like to see. What's a game that's got a really cool kind of environment to it?
Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, but I think they're already doing the right things with that game.
Oh,
Like,
like Woolly World and stuff.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like taking the same sort of whimsical feel and
Yeah.
bringing it about that way.
Mm-hmm.
Wall Street Kid.
Yeah. Just have it. What would you have it look like? What engine would you run it on?
I would have it run on the new Gears of War engine, so you just can't see anything.
Just fog and like moss,
Yeah.
dirty metal textures. That would be really good. His briefcase is just covered in just rust.
Cogs, yeah, cogs and rust.
He glues cogs to them. Um. So there's also the Resident Evil 2 remake that was just announced.
Yeah, Resident Evil finally getting a re-release. I think it's good. I think I would have wanted it to happen sooner, but at the same time, I'm glad it didn't.
Sure.
I am very concerned about one thing.
Yeah.
They're saying that this was kind of like inspired by how well the HD remaster of Resident Evil 1 sold, right?
Right.
But that already existed. Like, all they had to do is upscale that.
Right.
And it existed in the form that it did because it was done prior to Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really don't want Resident Evil 2 HD to play like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. I think it could be fun if it did,
Yeah.
but I really, really want it to control the same way.
See, and for the sake of the fans, I agree with you. For the sake of me having any desire to play it at all, I want it to play like 4, 5, and 6. Because otherwise, like, tank control in a 3D environment, I understand exactly why they did. I understand exactly how it happened. If this game played like Resident Evil 6 to me, maybe it might lose the appeal as like a scary game, and I can understand if that's like the biggest thing in jeopardy. But from like a simply mechanical standpoint, if it is fixed camera tank controls, I have zero interest in playing. I'll totally watch it. I would love to see it being played, but I don't want to interact with it at all. Is my thing. But I understand like why they would want to keep that.
Yeah.
Because the integrity of the game is built upon the way it was designed, and if you change that, see, and if they could model the entire game, full 3D, which obviously they can, and put the fixed camera mode in there, for the sake of classic Resident Evil style, okay. But what if they could still design the game around the 3D mechanic and say if you want to play either way, classic mode or new mode, and new mode would probably just play completely differently and way easier because it's not designed for that. I'd simply like to see it from that perspective.
I'm really excited for this game, but I feel like it's a lose-lose for Capcom, right? because even with the previous remaster, people were like, "Oh, well, if you're used to playing with the tank controls, good. If not, I think they had a mode where you could kind of like have like a hybrid control scheme in
Mhm.
the latest HD remaster, where it was like more like free control and not tank control but it kept the same perspectives and everything.
Yeah.
But I remember reading a lot of the reviews and people were saying a lot that like the controls are hard to adapt to if you're not an OG Resident Evil
You
player.
didn't grow up with it. Yeah, you probably don't have much inspiration to want to play that. If this is your first Resident Evil, is the remake?
Yeah.
Probably not.
So for them to stick with the control scheme, they're going to garner those same criticisms again. But if they
Sure.
change the control scheme, everyone's going to complain about the sanctity and the purity of the game.
Right. Right. So they should just do both. Model the game in 3D, keep the fixed camera, and it plays traditionally. And then if you want to, unlockable bonus mode or like extra thing you can just select from the option menu, plays in full 3D, same kind of event, same everything, but just with from a 3D perspective. Because I actually would be even more fascinated to see that. Because sometimes getting to see stuff from like your own perspective, it does take away the shock value and the factors that they put into designing. When the zombie pops out of the window or whatever it is. But I feel like I could enjoy it more as like an action game, which for me is what I want. But I know that's not the point of that remake exactly. It's mostly to appeal to the classic fans and not nearly as much to newer people.
It is surprising that it's taken this long though, because Resident Evil 2 is, I think, maybe the most liked game of the Resident
Yeah,
Evil series,
yeah,
and they had certainly ported it a lot back in the
yes.
day, which
Hmm.
I always felt was kind of silly that they ported it to the Dreamcast and they ported it. They kept porting it to more and more advanced hardware and never
Yeah,
actually updated it at all.
it looked identical. It's just they had like the same resolution background and higher resolution models,
Yeah,
and it clashed very badly at that point.
and they're very expensive too.
Yeah,
But I think it'll be good. I hope they add a lot of cool content. I hope they have a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and maybe some sneak peeks at 1.5, the game that never came out. If they
that
had
would be
like a
cool.
lot of
Yeah.
like design stuff or maybe short movies, that would be really neat. It's
Hmm.
all stuff we know now, obviously. Like if
Right.
you've looked it up, you know all about that game.
It should come with a free digital copy of Resident Evil Gaiden.
But ooh, it
Well,
should come
that's
with a
something
gun con so you can play
okay.
Resident Evil Survivor.
Survivor. Yeah, yeah. See, I want them to re-establish Dino Crisis
Yeah,
because, I think the idea of those games is a lot of fun, but I never really cared to play them that much. It makes me sad that I didn't care to play number three, which is theoretically the best game I've ever heard of, which is Skinless Dinosaurs in Space.
yeah.
But I just didn't really. It wasn't mechanically that sound. And I think nowadays, if you got somebody like Platinum on board, if Capcom said, "Hey, Platinum, Kamiya, come make Dino Crisis 4 and make it the coolest action game on the planet,"
Yeah.
that's exactly what would happen.
So I've never played a Dino Crisis game.
Hmm.
Have you?
I played the first one, and I played a bit of number three, but I played the
Okay.
first one actually a fair amount.
I played the demo for the first one,
Hmm.
and I don't know if I've told you this story before, but the reason I've never played a Dino Crisis game is because I hated the demo of the first one that much.
Hmm.
And
It's not very good.
the reason I hated the demo is that I made it all the way through
Hmm.
without ever once encountering a dinosaur.
That
I don't
sucks.
I don't know how it happened,
Hmm.
but I have played through because you had like 3 scenarios you could pick from.
Yeah.
And like one of them was like the scene where the big like T-Rex eats the bridge or whatever. And I picked this scenario and I was like, all right, well, let's see how this goes. And I just walked through like a series of hallways and I reached a door and it was like the full game is coming winter of '99 and I was just like,
Nothing happened.
so it's illogical, I admit, but
But that certainly
that's
doesn't instill much faith.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the games themselves are just chock full of dinos,
There's more dinosaurs in the full game. Yeah.
but I just couldn't understand how they had given me a demo of a game. Like the reason demos exist is for you to try a game and understand and get excited about it and understand how it
Right.
works.
It's like
And
if you
so
played Parappa and it was only the opening movie.
yeah,
The
if you
demo.
played Parappa and all it was the each of the masters saying their lines and you didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That can leave a bad taste in your mouth. I'm sure I've had some demos that have done that to me before as well too. It didn't impress me much. Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Shania.
But yeah, I want like a brand new Dino Crisis by Platinum. And if Kamiya could head that up, he's like my favorite developer currently. So, and he actually said recently that he'd love to work with Capcom again. I would love for him to work with Capcom again.
Yeah, I don't care what franchise he winds up picking up, or if it's a new IP or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, a new God Hand. Not gonna happen ever.
A new uh
Street Fighter
uh
2010.
yeah, Street Fighter 2011.
25 years later, it's the next year. You'd
uh
be on a different planet.
what?
You'd be on a different planet. So like the 25 Earth years is one 10 year.
You go to 5 different planets in Street Fighter 2010.
Oh shoot! So you're going all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to sit down and actually do this one.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought that it moved very well and it was very satisfying to play.
Okay.
I'm looking for Capcom games. What's a
Mouse
Capcom?
Capade.
Yeah. Just the
Oh,
most
that's
violent, over-the-top Mickey Mouse capade.
That was Hudson though. I forgot.
Oh, that's right. And Capcom just did the localization here, or the publishing in North America.
And
That's
then
right.
they started getting all the licenses to do their own. Okay.
Adventures in the Magic Kingdom.
Adventures of the Magic Kingdom. Yeah, exactly. You get on Space Mountain. You just have to combo demons.
Why am I drawing a complete blank?
For
I
good
love
Capcom
Capcom.
games.
Yeah, I can't think of a single one. I think I have like
Mostly
think-
Disney, Mega Man, Little Nemo, Captain Commando.
I think he could do a really cool Captain Commando
Oh
game.
yeah, no, those guys could knock that out of the park. They're beat 'em up lords. They would make the best Captain Commando game of all time, which I guess would be one of two. But
Goof Troop.
a new Goof Troop, Shinji Mikami, man.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Ghosts and Goblins or Demon's Crest.
Oh my god, a new Demon's Crest by Platinum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with
Knights of the Round.
that. Knights of the Round. I just got a Super Nintendo game recently that I've been looking for a while. I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it Knights of the Round? No. I saved that for a customer because I wanted the customer to have it. I didn't care. I think I got King Arthur's World.
Ew. I don't like that game.
It uses the mouse. It was like Lemmings except for with little knights.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
remember
also
renting
have
it.
that game.
I was kind of excited just because I hadn't seen it come through before.
I'm trying to remember where I got that game, actually. I might have ordered it off eBay a long time ago.
What if Kamiya made a new Joe and Mac?
John, I love Joe and Mac. I love
so
Joe
good.
and Mac.
It's so good.
If
Or
play, Joe
huh?
and Mac is so good. It's so
it's
good.
It's like, I used to play with my cousin all the time, long time ago, over and over and over. I remember we were in the middle of playing it, and then we had to go see a movie with my grandma. We went and saw The Mask, and the whole time I was thinking about Joe and Mac. So that was a good day. Jim
Smoking.
Carrey's green face and meat strips and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I
I hate the art. I hate the
Hmm?
way that the box art looks,
Yeah.
but I like the way the game looks.
What about the way the box art looks for the Nintendo version?
Let me look that up real quick.
Background with like a neon, like
Yeah, that's the one I hate. I hate
it's really
the-
bad looking.
the pink and black. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not very good looking.
But I would say the NES box art is better because what I really hate the most, more than the pink and black, are the faces that they drew on the SNES box art that just look like
Yeah.
Stu Pickles from Rugrats.
They look pretty bad. They look pretty bad. Okay, so what if Kamiya did the brand new Defenders of the Crown?
I have a couple friends, my friend Joe and his brother Mike.
I
Okay.
like how there's no actual answer, but there's a story to like.
There's this story, yeah.
supplement this. Okay.
And what I've come to realize is that pretty much every game my friend Joe told me was good and I didn't believe him on, he was so right. and I was so wrong. Like he told me UN Squadron was amazing like years and years and years ago, but
Hmm.
the weekend before he had rented like Carrier Aces, which is just like a straight up flight sim, and it was
Yeah.
so boring to me. So I saw airplanes on it, and I was like, no, UN Squadron is stupid. I'm not interested. And then like 5 years later, I was like, man, UN Squadron is so good. And, like
Yeah.
Castlevania 4 and something else I played through recently that I can't remember what it was, but he told me it was good, and I'm just like all these games. I'm realizing he was right about all of them. And what Joe and Mike used to play a lot of, especially Mike, he's really big into strategy games, Koei games, right?
Hmm.
When I asked Mike what his five all, because remember I asked you a while back what your five all-time SNES games were.
Hmm.
To give you an idea of who this person is, Mike listed Gemfire as one of his all-time five SNES games.
Out of all, yeah.
Yeah, he said Gemfire was in the top five. Okay, so we used to actually spend entire weekends playing like Aerobiz and Genghis Khan, and having a lot of fun doing it, honestly. But Defender of the Crown was a game that they played all the time,
All the
and
time.
I just I can't. I don't get it.
No.
It's like the worst parts of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, mixed with the worst parts of Nobunaga's Ambition.
Yeah. That's.
And I
I
know
remember.
because every game they've told me was good has turned out to be good in my lifetime. In like 10 years, we're gonna be doing an episode and I'm like, John, this week, Defender of the Crown.
Defender
It's
of
the
the
best
Crown.
game I've ever played.
Making a comeback. Um, See, I got that game because I was little, and I went with my brother. He used to live on Kirtland Air Force Base because he was in the Air Force, and he took me to like the BA, and I remember he's, get a video game. I'll buy you a video game. And so I looked around and I saw Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles. Okay, this is by Ultra Games. All right, I'll remember that Ultra Games. And so sometime later in life, oh, Ultra Games, they did Ninja Turtles. Let's get Defender of the Crown. And so go home, pop the game in. Not fun at all.
No.
So much disappointment. And they ended up remaking that game for the Game Boy Advance.
Right. Yeah, Cinemaware did almost all their old games for the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like I like the Three Stooges game. I like it a lot, and I thought the remake on the GBA was even better than the NES version.
I remember when it came out, and I was thinking, this is weird.
Yeah,
I was wondering, like,
if you hear that there is a Three Stooges game, first of all, your first thought is that's weird,
yeah,
and then you in your head you're like, okay, it's probably just some crappy licensed like platformer.
right, yeah. For like an NES game, it was like, what could this possibly be? I remember playing it and thinking, okay, this isn't my thing. I played it at a friend's house, and I wasn't so into it. So, but then like at the time, like in the '80s, like a lot of stuff was still going on. They were still airing Gumby. They were still airing, like, well, the Three Stooges. You could go on TV and like one channel would have the Three Stooges.
Yeah, yeah.
But in like 2004, that wasn't the Three Stooges. There was fans. There was people out there who liked it, but it wasn't like this
Yeah.
is topical any longer.
Right. This is also years before the Three Stooges movie,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's a weird kind of anomaly.
It really was very strange. But good on them for retaining the license or getting it from whomever, and then following through with making a successful remake for the people who could appreciate that. That is good. That's cool. But what about? I know we were discussing briefly the Mega Man Legacy Collection,
Yeah.
and
That's really exciting.
I'm very excited to see what the achievements are. I could look it online right now. I'm sure they're listed somewhere. I don't know if I want to. I kind of want to maybe to keep it a surprise. I don't know. At the same time, like that's probably someone will beat the challenges, beat Mega Man 1, beat Mega Man 2. But I kind of want them to be sort of akin to like Mega Man 9 and 10s,
Yeah.
which are like play a level jumping less than 50 times, or beat all 8 Robot Masters with only the Mega Buster, or like defeat every enemy in the game, or like little fun, weird kind of things. And I really liked when those would happen.
I own most of the games that come out in these. Like I own the carts for Mega Man 1 through 6. Like Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, not so much because I just don't have that big of a Sega library.
Sure.
But look, I'm a video game historian. I don't care how many times you re-release a game. I'm gonna be interested if it's a classic game, if it's worth
Hmm.
playing. Then to
Hmm.
me, every time you re-release a game is just an excuse for me to have a legitimate reason to go through that game again.
To do it again, absolutely. Yeah.
If they released like this is a bad example, right? But just in principle, if they released an Assassin's Creed collection every year
Hmm.
with all the Assassin's Creeds in it minus the one that is coming out that year, and then the next year they just include that one,
Yeah.
then that's an incentive for me to get that every year and play. You know, if they had
If
like a
they did,
Konami greatest hits collection, if they had uh, if I want Nintendo so badly to just release like a Famicom collection.
oh my god, I would love it.
I know
Love
they'll
it.
never do it,
Right.
but I think back to like not counting things like PC games.
Hmm.
Mario All Stars was really to me like the first introduction of having like a compilation game of saying
Yeah.
like here's all these games that are absolute must plays. You know, they're
Hmm.
timeless, and we've put them all in one place for you. And to me, I was just like, oh my god, I need that.
Hmm.
Or we've added like a little bit more polish to it. We've added the SNES sound engine. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's a perfect translation or they tweak it and enhance it, I'm interested as long as it plays the same.
Right.
And even
Absolutely.
if it doesn't, I might still be interested.
Sure. One of the biggest incentives for me even playing Mario All Stars again was I wanted to see the redesign of every single level. I want to see the backgrounds that they redid. I want to see what the difference was in my mind versus like what was actually like as a kid. The 8-bit versions. Is there like a lake in the background of this level? Is there waterfalls in the background of this level? What didn't we see on the NES?
Yeah. I remember
I
like
really
seeing the big paintings of Bowser in the background of the castle levels
holy
was
smokes,
really
man,
cool.
it was amazing. So for the Legacy Collection, I kind of wish they would have put 9 and 10 on there simply because for the 3DS version, I would love to have 1 through 6 and 9 and 10.
Yeah, but I would be really upset if they had 9 and 10 and not 7 and 8. I don't even like
Right.
7 and 8 all that much. But
Yeah,
just like
not,
it would pick away at me on some like OCD level.
yeah, just to have 1 through 10 would be incredible. But yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. So, but it'll be nice. All the extra stuff that they're adding in there, the challenge mode, the
Yeah.
unlockable, art galleries, and the ability to practice any boss you want at any time.
Online leaderboards.
Online leaderboard, I'm a sucker for that. I'm gonna start time trialing the crap out of this thing. Rediscovered my love for time trials playing through Mega Man 9 recently, and I've been uploading some challenges to like little GA Retro community page.
Yeah.
To challenge my buddy Adrian. I was just like, dude, it's great. I can do this. It's fantastic that this can be a thing.
I like,
Did,
you
I
know,
can't,
I no, go ahead.
did you do 9 or 10?
Barely. I got to Wily Castle in 9 and I didn't make it through the Robot Masters in 10, and I like both games and I
Yeah.
love the music in them and I love the way they feel, but I just couldn't really, it's weird. I couldn't at the time force myself to go through them. So
I think next
it's
time you're up here, we should go through both those.
okay.
I'm into them right now. I'm back into Mega Man.
I like the idea of speed running, and especially after watching like AGDQ or SGDQ, it's really tempting to kind of get that bug in you.
It
But
is.
I think, you know, I don't think I'm ever going to be good enough to be world's best at any game, right? I'm
Either.
content to just compete with my friends.
Yeah, that's the level that I want to do it on, just local. It's too much for me to devote my entire life to like beating a level 8,000 times,
Yeah,
and not that
I
but I just can't anymore.
I just don't think that they have any fun, honestly.
After a while, it's literally you're doing it to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Some of those were impressive though, man. They're the reprogramming of Earthbound and Chrono Trigger, and recently people discovered something similar for Final Fantasy VI. I didn't even watch that yet. I just saw a listing for it, and the thing that you can manipulate the data within the game like that
yeah.
floors me, puts me into my own floor.
You've become a floor.
It installs new flooring. That'd be nice. Actually, need new flooring. My cats are peeing on the stairs because there's carpet,
Hmm.
so it smells. I hate it.
What you could do is just use that hydrophobic like paint, and just paint over your carpet so that when they
Well,
pee on it,
just
it
like
just
run down into my and it just pools into my foyer.
Yeah, or it'll bounce up and they'll be peeing on their own stomach.
I'd be okay with that. Stupid cats. But what if I cover them with
What if you cover their pee holes with it?
their pee would just go everywhere because I didn't want to stick to anything.
Yeah.
I'll probably just have to end up doing that.
Sounds good. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
I think yeah, it's a good 2-hour run.
Yeah.
No,
We're glad to be back.
it is. It is nice to be back. And then next week, ideally, if we can get your computer up and running, we can do like another game exchange of sorts. Here, let me show you this.
Yeah.
I'll show you that. Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, it's nice to be doing this again, just talking about whatever. Hopefully, something really huge happens news-wise. Metal Gear's almost out, Mario Maker's almost out, but there's nothing right now that has come out to discuss.
You say Mario Maker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that game.
I'm really stupidly pumped.
Like every day that's out and I don't have a Wii U is gonna just be torture for me.
It's funny that a level editor for Super Mario Brothers is one of the biggest incentives for that system, but it truly is, man. I'm bursting at the seams waiting for this game.
If things work out and I'm able to get a Wii U, which it's possible, by the time that comes out, I think we're gonna have to make some levels for each other.
We'll make levels for each other. We'll upload them. Will be podcast-specific levels that you can get. We'll share with each other each week.
Use promo code CyberZone to access.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get Nintendo official eShop cards. We can download the levels, or QR codes or whatever. I don't know.
They'll make amiibos of us that you scan them and they'll have the levels on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can. I had an idea, but I lost it.
If they made a Reggie amiibo, would you buy it?
Yes. Without question. But, I don't necessarily want it to be his me. I want it to be
yeah, like Reggie.
Yeah, like the Super Mario Brothers movie toys. He's really big and hulking and just broad shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd go for. I want them to make an Iwata me.
Yeah.
Amiibo. That's I know a lot of people have talked about that, but please do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. So, I think finally the only thing we got to do is once again thank our friends over at AMcast for the opportunities that they've given us in terms of our outreach for sharing our podcasts and publishing them to the website, throwing them on iTunes, re-recording the whole thing. And if everybody can check out screwthetruth.com, our friends Morgan and Adrian do this phenomenal podcast as well too. They're just a really great bunch of guys, super friendly. Some of my favorite people I've ever met. Radon and I, we're in love with not only each other, but Morgan and Adrian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do us a favor and go ahead and check out some of their stuff as well too.
Yeah, we've been on some of their podcasts as well. So I mean, if you're just out to find us, then you can check out their other podcasts, which we've been on as well. Some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunt them down. Go hunting.
Cabela's podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Cabela podcast. We should actually do a Cabela episode, and we'll just stream us playing Cabela games.
I'd be down for that.
I would too. Have you ever played the African Safari?
You've told me all about it, but I have not played it.
I still have it over here. I grabbed it from the store because it was like $1, and I was like, "This is mine. I'm gonna go and brain shot some monkeys." Yeah, it's pretty great. All right. Is there anything else you needed to add?
You can check us out also at garetro.com, where there's articles and insights and thoughts about video games.
And we're going to be restructuring the site a little bit as well, too, adding some more new stuff, streamlining some things. We have a GA community page on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can just type it in easily because it's Facebook.
Yeah.
So we'll provide a link to that on the website soon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
That's it. And just in case you guys are wondering, this is Penelope the cat, and she's very cute. She doesn't really like being held, so this isn't going to last long. But, yep, there she goes. She's very sweet. She likes being next to me, but she doesn't like being held. Whatever. All right. Cool. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and we hope to bring you more exciting content next week.
Yeah, same time.
That's true. At the same time, it'll be on August 12th of next week.
Yep.
I'll be older by then. I'll have a year added to my age. My birthday is
Oh, it's in 2 days?
in 2 days.
What are you
14th.
doing for your birthday?
I'm eating dinner with my family, and then I'm going to watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the shop, and then we actually might end up playing Projector Screen Four Swords for the GameCube.
Exciting.
I'm pretty pumped. Yeah.
That sounds like a good night. Well, I'm sorry I won't be able to be there.
That's all right. You know, we'll figure something out. Next time you're up in town, we'll get together and we'll just hang.
Sounds good.
It'll be good. So yeah. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and kiss your mother goodnight.
Yeah, tell her that I love her.
Yeah, tell her that Michael's gonna give her a kiss.
Yeah. Who's your mom? Who's your mom?
You tiny bubby.